Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot inside.
NBC Sports presents NASCAR. Live from the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, it's the NASCAR Winston Cup Series Tropicana 400. The sport of stock car racing was born in the Southeast, and in the 90s it ventured to new venues like California, Las Vegas, Texas, and New Hampshire. Today, the Winston Cup Series plans to take the Windy City by storm. NASCAR has come to suburban Chicago for the first Tropicana 400. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Benny Parsons. We're aboard the War Wagon right here on pit road at Chicagoland. And if you think the storyline last week was something, wait till you see what we got in store for you this afternoon. You're not going to believe this. But seriously, Benny, last Saturday night, great race, great week for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
It was magic last Saturday night, and I think me, you, and every fan there realized we were seeing absolute magic. And that's why the fans wouldn't leave. They knew as soon as they turned their back on the scene, it would disappear forever. It would be gone. So they stood there for, what, 30, 45 minutes just staring at the festivities going on in the infield.
Well, we'll have more on Dale Earnhardt Jr. and flash back to the Pepsi 400 in just a few minutes. Now, first of all, let's check in with the disciplinary report. The post-race report card from Daytona says Tony Stewart doesn't play well with others. A fine of $10,000 and his probation has been extended through November 21st for what is called conduct detrimental to the sport. He stands tall in the racing world, but once again this season, there have been a few bumps on Tony Stewart's road to stardom. He seems to change from victor to villain in the blink of an eye, not just taking his intensity to the line, but sometimes crossing it. Sure, he often roars like a lion, but that's part of how he has learned to survive in the densely competitive Winston Cup jungle. And we're joined on the War Wagon by Tony Stewart. And first of all, obviously some intense moments for you last Saturday night.
Sure it is. I mean, it's the most competitive series in the country. So, you know, if we weren't intense about it and if you didn't fight for what you thought was right, I mean, we'd run in the back every week. So, you know, I fought for what I thought was right. The fact that I did it outside the trailer and instead of inside the trailer is what the fine was about. So, you know, I'm always going to stick up for what I think's right, and whether I'm right or wrong. I mean, yes, one question to 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. But in my opinion, we were done wrong last week by that. I could have crashed 20 cars and taken out half the field at Daytona, but, you know, I went below the line to save, you know, my fellow drivers there, and instead I got fined for it. So, you know, getting penalized, and they penalized the team. We lost championship points. We lost a lot there by trying to be a good guy. So, you know, NASCAR is just setting an example of how they want us to race. So it's their rules. We'll just play by them.
Benny?
Tony, you've had a week to think about it. I mean, NASCAR said in the drivers' meeting, if you went below the yellow line to advance your position, you'd be penalized. What would you have done?
Well, you know, it's a new rule, and the problem with that is it's a good rule. I've always believed in it. When they first talked about bringing that rule into effect, I believed in it. But, you know, there's situations where what we got put into the other day, you know, when we were at Bristol and Jeff Gordon got underneath me, they said that was okay. Well, I was underneath Johnny Benson the same amount of space and was underneath him in bounds. Then I got pushed out of bounds. Well, they never said that if you pass the guy under that situation, let him go the next straightaway, and it would have been all right. That was never brought up. I did what I thought was right. I could have crashed Johnny Benson, and according to what NASCAR told me at Bristol, it would have been okay to crash Johnny there, but I wasn't going to put Johnny in that position. I wasn't going to put the 20 or 30 guys behind me in that position. So, you know, it was a tough situation, and it's just a judgment call on NASCAR's part, and they did what they thought was right. I didn't agree with it. I don't think anybody else agreed with it, but it's NASCAR. At least they stuck behind their guns and stuck with their decision. So, you know, I was just pleading my case saying this is why I went down there. I wasn't doing it for an advantage. I did it because I didn't want to get in a wreck, and I didn't want to wreck anybody else. So I was just trying to look out for everybody else.
Well, I know you're an intense guy, so keep that intensity on the track. Best of luck here today in Chicago.
We'll try to. We're looking forward to it. It's an awesome facility.
Okay, well, Tony Stewart starts 27th. Next to the current Winston Cup points leader, that's Jeff Gordon. He has some fireworks of his own to remember from the race last weekend at Daytona. In fact, he left there with just a fraction of the points lead he started with.
Indeed, Daytona was devastating for Jeff Gordon, losing 78 points to Dale Jarrett in the championship standings. The lead now down to 48. So after that week, how critical does that make this race for you, Jeff?
Well, you know, every race for the championship's critical, but we got a lot of racing left to go. It's going to go up and down, but this is a track that we're running real well at, but we didn't qualify real well. So, you know, we're going to have to be cautiously aggressive is what I like to call it, because we've got to work our way up to the front, and we know we've got a good car and a good team, but we need to be careful, too, because, you know, it is important to get a good, strong finish here.
He starts 28th, but many feel like Jeff Gordon has the best car in the field today. Now for the other championship perspective, let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Marty, over the past 4 seasons, a driver leading the points after Daytona has gone on to win the championship. That's a trend that Dale Jarrett would like to see come to an end. You start 11th today, DJ. You've won at 4 of the next 6 racetracks. Do you feel like this is the stretch for you to gain?
Well, it's a good stretch for us, and we've got to be really good throughout these races. Coming somewhere new like this, you don't know, but we feel like we've got a good race car here today. If we can just stay out of trouble, I think we've got a shot at it, and these next 6 weeks are important for us. We got to stay right in there or try to get back to the front, but we know Jeff's going to be there, Ricky's going to be there, Rusty and Tony, so it's going to be a real battle, but we just got to do our part.
He starts 11th, looking for his season's 4th victory. Today, Burns.
Have I got a blue light special for you? 2 Kmart-sponsored Ford Tauruses, aisle 1. Both Todd Bodine and Jimmy Spencer have made the front row this weekend. Jimmy Spencer was a surprise. He told me they dialed themselves so far out they'd have to go back to basics during qualifying. They did it, and he qualified second. Todd Bodine was not much of a surprise. He was top of the charts all weekend long, and by the time qualifying was over, he had earned his 2nd Bud pole. Attention shoppers, Todd Bodine is today's fastest qualifier. Now let's go back to Bill Weber, who I think has pulled the war wagon into the checkout line.
Thanks, Dave. Next, as NBC Sports rolls on from Chicagoland, a flashback to last Saturday. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins at Daytona. It was quite a night that became quite a nightmare.
It's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
That's unbelievable.
Remember when we've seen this before?
He went to exactly the right place. Exactly the right place. I don't know how he knew to do that, but that's where he needed to go. I don't know how he knew to do that. I don't know how he knew to do that. I don't know how he knew to do that.
Hi, I'm Brock Leach, president of Tropicana. On behalf of our employees around the world, I'd like to welcome you to the inaugural running of the Tropicana 400 at the beautiful new Chicagoland Speedway. We are proud to be title sponsors of this historic new NASCAR race. And we salute all the fans, moms, dads, and kids for enjoying Tropicana Pure Premium and for making NASCAR the fastest growing sport in America. Thank you.
NBC's coverage of the Tropicana 400 is brought to you by Tropicana Pure Premium. Satisfy a deeper thirst. By Pep Boys. All you need to know is where to go. Pep Boys. And by Wendy's. Race through Wendy's late night pickup window where you can eat great, even late.
Last night in Daytona, we saw a great race. In fact, some people have called it a masterpiece. Some people have called it masterpiece theater. Plategate has erupted into a finger-pointing free-for-all with little evidence but a long list of suspects. The probing question is this: did NASCAR give Dale Earnhardt Jr. an advantage in the Pepsi 400?
I can understand how the car ran so good that it sprang the question, but with NASCAR where it is today, I mean, that'd be a foolish attempt for them to try to fix a race.
Do you think there's any way NASCAR could have given the 8 car an advantage in the Pepsi 400?
Yeah, I honestly think it's ludicrous we're even having to talk about this. No, there's no way that they can give him an advantage.
There's nothing fixed, none of that, and whoever's dreamed that up, it's ridiculous. And it was a wonderful win for him, and I don't want it tarnished in any way.
The conspiracy theory swirling since Daytona focuses on a daring plot involving NASCAR, a less restrictive restrictor plate, and a whole lot of luck. And while speculation about who did what and how is nothing new to any sport, this time some of the players appeared to turn prosecutor. In post-race interviews, Jimmy Spencer indicated Earnhardt got the nod from NASCAR, while Pontiac driver Johnny Benson's quote seemed to point at Earnhardt's stout Chevrolet.
He had the better car. That's not implying by any means that it's fixed.
The media just blew it out of shape. You know, they're saying that I they compounded to some of the things I said, and saying that NASCAR fixed the race and all this stuff, and that's not true. NASCAR doesn't fix those races.
You know, I was more mad that the Pontiac was at a disadvantage than him having an advantage. And like I say, but they didn't print that. They don't care about that. They were looking for something else.
I'm sorry for saying that NASCAR fixed that race. It was so dumb on my part, you know, because it's not true. And you know, sometimes you make mistakes, and I made a big mistake that night.
While NASCAR is both judge and jury when it comes to making the rules, the task of enforcing them is often carried out by the most diligent worker in racing, the garage rat.
These other Winston Cup crews and crew chiefs and drivers, they all look at each other's cars. If there was something obvious enough, they would have been complaining, and trust me, there was nothing wrong with that car.
Just by the nature of the way our garages are laid out, that you're going to see what everybody's doing around you. It's going to be hard to pull a trick that somebody doesn't see.
Our whole inspection process being out in the open the way it is partly for that reason, is to make sure that everybody sees what we do and understands that you can't orchestrate any of that without thousands of people being involved, and that's very unlikely.
In the Winston Cup Series, the challenge is to race the law and law enforcement, all the way from the inspection line to the finish line. And while most of the rules are black and white, some are a shade of gray.
Your quote of the week is that some people, or a lot of people, may not be comfortable with how the restrictor plate process works.
I think where I was going to with that is that we've got officials that enforce the rules. We have to trust that they are going to enforce the rules the way they're meant to be done.
Restrictor plate, maybe if you had a bigger restrictor plate, but then as soon as that happens, you're right there in technical inspection, and it's okay for everybody to look and watch, make sure that plate meets specs, and that plate met specs.
Nothing could have taken place on Saturday night except a good race driver and a good team won a big race.
The intent of any team is not to break the rules, just test their flexibility. But claims that maybe, just maybe, a competitor was given an advantage, that NASCAR made the call, is the hardest hit a racer can take.
It angers me that these type of things are being talked about with our sport, but on the other side of it, it makes me realize that we have gotten there now because we are a major league sport, and as they build you up, the next thing is they want to tear you down, and we just have to be strong about this. The people inside here know that there's no way anything like that could have happened.
So those are the people that count, the people that you beat in the race. When they know that you beat them fair and square, that's the reward, I guess.
And of course, the Pepsi 400 last Saturday night. Benny, your reaction to what's gone on?
You know, I can understand where Spencer and Benson are coming from, because I've been beaten so badly. I felt the same way. They had to be doing something wrong. But the 21 Winston Cup races that I won, I know we did nothing right. No one told us we were going to win. In 1981, I won a race in Nashville, Tennessee. The sponsor of the race was the same sponsor I had on my race car. It looked suspicious. Trust me, folks, it was not. The 21 trophies I have sitting on the mantle and the trophy that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has from the Pepsi 400 last week, trust me, I line them up, I look at them, none of them are hidden in the closet.
I don't have any trophies, but that was a feel-good race. Unfortunately, some people think it was too good to be true. The good thing about sports is sometimes those too good to be true events are just that good and just that true. That's why the athletes play the games, and that's why as fans we continue to watch. Now at the center of the debate, the dreaded restrictor plate. And for more on that, let's go back to Dave Burns.
Okay, Bill, pick a plate, any plate. And that's the point. They're all the same. The teams watch the officials blindly choose the plates and then take them over to the gauge to make sure that every hole is the proper diameter. Then the official takes the plate, puts it on the manifold, and then the official puts the spacer and the team's carburetor right on top of everything. They seal it up, they button up the hood, and before they push it out to the starting grid, they have to seal it off, and that is the last time that the team touches it. There is virtually no opportunity or time for the crews to make any switches when it comes to restrictor plates. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
And Dave, now with Dale Earnhardt Jr., fresh from driver introductions. And last week you were first. You were last qualifier. This week, 36th. First of all, what's up with that?
Well, we had a left front spring coil bind in qualifying and upset the car. We were about 4th or 5th quickest in practice, so it's kind of disappointed with that. But we got a good car for the race, and maybe get some good pit stops and do like Jimmy Johnson yesterday, put on 2 tires a few times we can get up front.
You seem focused, but with all the talk this week, was the team at all distracted?
Yeah, it wasn't a distraction as much as you just wanted to get it settled and hope everybody really understands. I mean, I was kind of over it, really, but my team, they really have a hard time dealing with stuff like that. And I just want them to be able to get the credit they deserve for the car they built. And we will eventually.
He starts 36. Lots of work for that young man to do today. Now let's go to Bill at the War Wagon.
Thanks, Marty. This is not NASCAR's first visit to Chicago. It's a return to Chicago. Fireball Roberts drove to Victory Lane at Soldier Field 45 years ago next Saturday, July 21st, 1956. So today, the land of the Bulls and the Bears is ready to welcome back the boys.
Bears. The Bears. The Bulls.
NBC Sports welcomes you back to Chicagoland as we continue to close in on the Tropicana 400 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Just out front of the Speedway, Hospitality Village and Souvenir Alley, where business has been very good. Wagon, this is the 18th race of the 36-race NASCAR Winston Cup season, and just like the dessert line in the NBC compound, Benny couldn't wait for everybody else and had to take the green flag first with our Thunder Motion race lap.
All right, folks, want to take a ride around Chicagoland Speedway? Let's go. Come off turn 4. Dip down low to the start-finish line. Then you let the car drift back out against the outside retaining wall. Now down to the bottom of the racetrack, down next to that white line. 18 degrees banking here at the Chicagoland Speedway. Once again, off turn 2, you got to let that car drift back out to the outside retaining wall as you go down the back straightaway. Only it's not a straightaway, it's a back stretch. It isn't straight. Turn 3, 18 degrees, right down to the white line, on the throttle hard, off the corner, back out against the outside retaining wall, down the start-finish line. You've just completed a lap at the Chicagoland Speedway.
This is a new track. Looks like you had your hands full.
I think I qualified about 35th.
But that's okay. You made the field.
Yes.
Now, last week we talked about the safety concerns who were at Daytona. Well, earlier this week here at the Chicagoland Speedway, we put Wally Dallenbach in the seat to show us up close how a driver prepares and protects himself.
From a driver's perspective, step into my office. I'll show you some of the safety requirements that I like to have when I'm driving a car. This is a car I drove a few weeks ago at Pocono. First thing is the seat. Seat's got to be tight. They got to be form-fitted to the driver. Sitting in this seat when you're all belted in, it's like sitting in the middle seat of an airplane with Benny Parsons on both sides. Headrests. Need 2 headrests, one for in case you hit the wall, driver's side. This is if you hit the wall right side, as well as it helps you keep your head stable in the corners. Also, you have the shoulder rests. We have leg braces, same thing. Leg braces go from the bottom of the seat to the firewall. In case you hit the wall or happen to roll the car, keep your legs in one place, nicely padded. Have the fire extinguisher, easy to get to. Kill switch, easy to get to. One thing I think is most important, I like to be as far away from the driver's door as possible. In case I get T-boned or I hit the wall driver's side, very vulnerable for the drivers. So we like to stay away from that, have as much padding here as possible. Extra little window net. This helps to keep your helmet inside the car in case you do hit the wall. You don't want your head going all the way and hitting the wall. So as much as you can surround yourself with the braces and padding is going to be the best in case you get in a wreck.
Thanks, Wally. Wally with the safety information and the BP Zinger. Benny.
Nice line, Wally. Too bad you don't have enough seniority to ride up first class with me and Weber.
Well, the Winston Cup season hits the halfway mark when the checkered flag falls here this afternoon. And heading in, only 416 points separate the top 10 drivers in the race for the championship.
Jeff Gordon, and you can see that we can't see much.
Yeah, nothing much to see. Jeff Gordon's car smoking heavily.
The fans of the grandstands are on their feet, waving Dale Jarrett to victory here at Martinsville.
The UPS Ford set to deliver at Darlington.
The battle for the lead continues. Here's Rudd asking his Ford for everything it has. Rudd will have to chase him if he wants to win.
Tony Stewart will be black flagged by NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rockets to the front at Daytona. Listen to the crowd.
Move your
It's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Junior, you're happy.
Look at that smile.
I don't think there's anybody here that didn't want to see that.
NBC Sports welcomes you to the Tropicana 400, a sunny and warm afternoon in Joliet, Illinois. Temperature in the mid-80s, and the stars of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series are getting ready here at the new Chicagoland Speedway. Now, if I were you, I'd be watching the Roush cars today. Mark Martin is 13th in points. He's 18th on the grid. He has 32 career Winston Cup wins, but he hasn't been to victory lane in 43 races. He hasn't had back-to-back top 5 finishes in 33 races, but 3 years ago he won the first race at Las Vegas. Jeff Burton, his teammate, is 14th in points, 32nd on the grid. He won at Charlotte in May, 4 straight top 5s coming in, and 4 years ago he won the first race at Texas. But these are not the only Fords hoping to gallop into victory lane.
His first win in 88 races. Rudd wins.
He's got one eye on the fuel gate, one eye toward the checkered flag. Ricky Rudd, this will be a popular win.
Gordon and Jarrett May claim the midseason title headlines, but a championship dark horse would have to be Ricky Rudd in his 2018. They entered Chicago 3rd in points, the highest for Rudd since the spring of '96, the closest to the front for the 2018 since the summer of '94. Last month, Rudd won his first race in 88 starts. Now he set his sights on an even loftier goal, his first championship in 26 seasons. As the final 19-race stretch is set to begin, he's only 76 markers out of first. To Marty Snyder.
Matt, if you think it was a long time between wins for Ricky Rudd, it's been a really long time for Bill Elliott. Almost 7 years, 210 starts and counting. The problem for Bill this year hasn't been qualifying well, but racing well. So in a 2-day test session here in June, they spent all that time working on race setup only. The result? This is the most comfortable Bill says he's been in the car all year long. But can Team Dodge finally turn a good qualifying effort into a good race effort? Ray Evernham, the team owner, said that has to happen today. Today, Burns.
This was supposed to be somewhat of a relaxed weekend for Kevin Harvick. He was racing his Busch car and his Winston Cup car at the same track for the first time in a long time. But he had a gear problem, broke a gear halfway through yesterday's race, and it relegated him to a 27th place finish. It was a long day. He hopes for better things, 10th in Winston Cup points here today in Chicagoland. Let's go to Bill.
Thanks, Dave. There have been a dozen different winners in the first 17 races, 3 first-time winners. Now 43 teams poised to see who makes the trip to victory lane in Chicagoland. The opening ceremonies and the command to fire engines just moments away. Welcome back to the Chicagoland Speedway. A tremendous feeling of excitement sweeping through the stands as NBC Sports closes in on the green flag. We're about 30 miles from downtown Chicago as the crow flies, or 55 miles from the rental car lot at O'Hare. Now let's join the pre-race ceremonies.
Director of Motorsports Racing Outreach.
Heavenly Father, we come to you on the occasion of this inaugural race at Chicagoland Speedway to ask your blessing on this great event. We pray for and thank you for those involved in making this race possible. Thank you for the sponsors, the officials, and those behind the scenes. We pray for the safety of all involved, the drivers, the crewmen, all the medical and safety staff, as well as the officials. We pray especially for our fans. Thank you for the enjoyment of the sport. Keep these fans safe during the race, and as they return home, we ask in your name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please remain standing for our national anthem, performed by the Academy of Country Music's Male Vocalist of the Year, Toby Keith.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, George H. Ryan, the governor of the great state of Illinois.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Miles, 43 drivers, 1 winner, and 3 men to take you along for the ride. Alan Bestwick, Benny Parsons, and Wally Dallenbach.
All right, Bill, thank you. All set to bring you what we hope will be a very exciting Tropicana 400. Throughout the weekend, we've been asking drivers in the garage area their thoughts on this new speedway. Most of them told us they'd wait until after the NASCAR Busch Series race yesterday to give us an opinion. Boy, did they get an eyeful.
They saw exactly what they didn't want to see, 9 caution laps. A lot of crashing. The drivers were not wanting to see that. And folks, let's show you what happened yesterday during the NASCAR Busch Series race. Matt Kenseth, who will be in today's race, lost it, goes up hits the wall. Greg Biffle down in turn 1. Now watch this. He backs on the fence hard.
You can see all these guys are getting up into the gray area, which I'll explain a little bit later. There's no grip up there. Drivers having a hard time. They really wanted to work 2 grooves in this racetrack yesterday.
David Donahue, and you talk about windshield deep. The 32 car was windshield deep. And just a few laps ago, less than 10 laps ago, the 02 car, Ryan Newman, trying to chase down the winner. Jimmy Johnson gets in the back of the 18 car. So while it looks like this groove is still very narrow.
And that has been the topic, groove. And let me explain to you what we're talking about when we talk about groove, especially when you come to a new racetrack. This dark area on the track, that's the groove. That's where you want to be. That's where the cars have worked in the rubber. Up here, the gray area, you don't want to be there. There's no grip up there. The groove is good. The gray area is evil. And guys, I think a lot of drivers are going to be experiencing evil today.
We'll hope we don't have as many cars wound up in crashes as we did yesterday. We'll have to find out. For the 7th time in the last decade, the NASCAR Winston Cup Series christens a brand new racetrack. A capacity crowd on hand at the Chicagoland Speedway for the Tropicana 400 next.
NBC's coverage of the Tropicana 400 is brought to you by Tropicana Pure Premium. Satisfy a deeper thirst. By Viagra. Ask your doctor if Viagra is right for you. By Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood. Applebee's. And by Budweiser. With the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Sammy, you coming right off the break with the Bud? Welcome back to the Chicagoland Speedway as we're a couple of pace laps away from the start of today's Tropicana 400. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is proud to sponsor the Bud Pole Award given to the fastest qualifier at each Winston Cup race, Todd Bodine. Scoring the Bud Pole on Friday afternoon. Since 1979, Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $7 million as the title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. And let's take a look at the Walmart starting grid. It is Bodine with his teammate, Jimmy Spencer. On the front row for Travis Carter Racing. First Bud Pole as a team owner. The two Kmart cars to lead the field of the green. Ricky Rudd steadily gaining on the point leaders in the championship. Will start in row 2 along with perennial favorite Bill Elliott.
On the inside of row 3, Joe Nemechek. Nemechek, first top 5 qualifying of the year. Kevin Harvick won at Atlanta back in March on a 1.5 mile racetrack. Mike Skinner, Jerry Nadeau in row 4.
In row 5, you got Brett Bodine. Had a great top 10 finish last week at Daytona. Team is pumped up with another great qualifying run. Row 6, Dale Jarrett. He runs very strong in these 1.5 mile racetracks, winning in Texas in April.
Row 7, Andy Houston had a good run going at Daytona last week till he cut a tire and hit the wall. Robert Presley there alongside with him. Jason Leffler was the top finishing rookie in the Pepsi 400 last week, and Ron Hornaday ran yesterday's Busch race and finished 16th.
Casey Atwood inside row 9, another rookie alongside veteran Mark Martin. Back in row 10. On the inside, Kevin LePage and Elliott Sadler on the outside.
In row 11, Rusty Wallace has got 5 top 5 finishes in the 8 inaugural races since 1988. And John Andretti is looking for his 3rd top 10 finish this year.
Stacey Compton and Ward Burton, couple of dodges in row 13. Ward had kind of a rough final practice yesterday, hoping the changes they made to the car this morning have helped things. And look at this all-star row. 14, Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. Gordon will not be back there for long.
Jeff Green on the inside of row 15 announced yesterday he'll be in Winston Cup with this car next year. Steve Park. Car is very good in practice on the outside. A rookie Kurt Busch alongside his teammate Jeff Burton in 16.
And now a look at the rest of the starting field for today's Tropicana 400 and the drivers who took provisionals to get in. From Matt Kenseth on down, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the final to qualify on his time trial speed. Michael Waltrip finished 2nd at Daytona, got to come from deep in the field. He's also struggled in practice here this week. Robbie Gordon replacing Mike Wallace in Jim Smith's Ford. And the final starter, Buckshot Jones in the Petty Enterprises 44. 4 drivers failed to qualify. Kyle Petty, Mike Bliss, Shauna Robinson, and Dave Marcus not in the field. And with that, we're set to go with the Tropicana 400. 1.5 miles this track, 267 laps the distance to make up 400 miles. Sold out crowd of 75,000 been packing into this speedway since dawn this morning, and they're all on their feet now for the inaugural NASCAR Winston Cup Series green flag as we're set to go. Bringing the field down to the green, Todd Bodine and Jimmy Spencer. Trouble. Andy Houston doesn't go in the middle of the field. Everybody avoids him. Andy Houston has turned his car off the racetrack at pit exit. He'll be okay. Will stay under green. Todd Bodine will lead lap 1.
I'm sure Andy probably broke something when that green flag dropped, Benny. I don't know, probably something in the driveline, transmission. Something happened right there when the green flag dropped.
And Jimmy Spencer started outside pole. The best he could do was 4 spot, get him back to the inside. He's about to lose that to Mike Skinner off turn 2.
Also behind him, Sterling Marlin going by Bill Elliott to pick up 6th spot. As the field comes off of turn number 4, they'll cross the start-finish line and begin lap number 3. Rudd and Harvick. Skinner now having cleared Spencer into fourth. He's got about a second to make up.
A 33 car, I don't know what happened on the start there. He started up front, and he fell way back.
Joe Nemechek back to 28th position. He started in 5th. Ken Schrader's lost a number of spots. Bobby Labonte had a close call in turn 1 a lap ago. Got up out of that groove. Managed to hold on to the race car, but he lost a few positions. There's Ken Schrader. Schrader's back to 17th spot. He started 12th. Andy Houston had problems on the start. Marty, what happened?
Well, the car just did not go, Alan. They brought it behind the wall. When the crewman looked underneath it, he said the drive shaft is gone. They should be able to fix that, but he's going to be a long time behind the wall.
There's Houston.
We saw that yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series race. Kevin Harvick made a pit stop when he let the jack down, his signal to go. He let the clutch out and snapped the pinion in the rear of the car.
Awful odd to have that happen right on the initial start, though.
The drive line in these cars are getting so much horsepower in these cars today that the drive lines are becoming very suspect. Talking about drive shafts and rear gearing.
Rudd starting to put a little pressure on Todd Bodine for the lead. This is back for 5th position. Check that 7th spot as the lead changes hands.
Ricky Rudd goes to that top spot. I talked to his crew chief, Michael McSwain, this morning. I said, are you any good? And he just didn't say a word, just gave me that grin and nodded his head. Affirmative. Yes, we're good.
Harvick by Bodine for 2nd.
If you remember Ricky's car at Pocono, Benny, the car was very good on the bottom. They worked on getting that car to stay down on the bottom of the racetrack. It's so important here at this racetrack in Chicago. The best car is going to be the car that can keep their car the white line all the way through the corner, especially getting off.
Right where the 29 car is. Look at that. Left side just on the white line, and Todd Bodine's car drifted up off turn 2, and that is not the fast way around the Chicagoland Speedway.
Ricky Rudd coming into this race 3rd in the championship, and under the Winston Cup point system, he's just collected 5 bonus points toward that championship for leading. Let's check back with Rusty Wallace. Wallace trying to pick his way up through the field. He's up to 13th, started 21st.
Tell you what, I watched Rusty's car yesterday in happy hour, and the thing that impressed me with Rusty's car is that it ran consistent on long runs. Talked to Robin Pemberton this morning. They're starting very low on pressures, more than most of these guys. And he said, you know, it's going to take some laps for our car to come in, but we feel we can run consistent laps longer than a lot of the other cars. So I see Rusty being a factor before this is over.
Rusty running right behind Jason Leffler in the 01 car, the rookie driver.
Couple of rookies. That's Casey Atwood with the red number 19 car. This is down the back stretch. We won't call it a straight back straight because it isn't straight.
One of the unique features of this Chicagoland track, it's a constant arc all the way down the back stretch. Theory being, should they add seats back there, it'll make for better viewing lines. If you sit behind these heavy safety fences like that, if it's not curved, the grandstand, you don't see the racetrack because the fence just kind of becomes a mesh as you look down it.
See Jason Leffler as he came off the corner, drift up off turn 2. This is shots from our helicopter.
And that's just going to get worse. As the fuel burns off on these cars and the tires heat up, that push will get worse and worse.
Andy Petrie, the owner of Joe Nemechek's car, looking on, as is a capacity crowd. We're just underway in the Tropicana 400. Back at the Chicagoland Speedway, the Tropicana 400 is just underway. The leader, Ricky Rudd, about to complete the 16th of 267 laps. Kevin Harvick is right behind him in the white car. Todd Bodine, the light blue machine just out of your frame, has fallen back some 1.8 seconds in 3rd position. Some of the new technology we have to play with on our broadcast, the Williams Energy Race Chase. Live action telemetry.
And we can see 192 miles per hour on Kevin Harvick in turn 3, down to 164. Now he will accelerate off the corner right up on the back bumper of Rudd. This should be the fastest part of the racetrack. We saw 192 down the back. We saw 196 going to turn 1. 4 miles per hour faster on the front than the back.
Hard to comprehend approaching a corner at 196 miles an hour.
This for me.
On a 1.5 mile track.
And hoping it will stick when you get to the corner.
Kevin Harvick ran the NASCAR Busch Series race here yesterday. What kind of an advantage do you think that gives him today over somebody like Ricky Rudd, who did not run on Saturday?
I think it had to help him. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my son the other day, and he felt like that Martin Martin and Jeff Burton, by not running Busch Series races this year, losing some of the ability to get their car set up for Sunday by not being in the Saturday race. They felt like it was. He felt like it was a big advantage for these guys to run Saturday and then Sunday because it's the same tire. Used to it's a different tire, but now it's different.
See, these two cars right here, guys, these two cars had the most tape on the front of their cars than anybody in the garage area that I saw. Why that's important is that tape gives you more downforce in the corners. That's going to let these cars stay lower on the racetrack, and I think these two cars are going to be tough. If they can keep that tape right there, that's a lot of tape. If they keep that tape on the car without overheating the engine, that's a big plus at a racetrack like this.
Change of position with Nadeau taking 5th away from Sterling Marlin. High-tech tool here in racing, huh? Tape.
They call it 200 mile per hour tape, and really you can't race unless you use that kind of tape. Pop rivets and tape is what holds these race cars together.
Mentioned Joe Nemechek having some problems in the opening laps. Nemechek started the race in 5th position, but he's fallen all the way back to 36th. I believe Matt Yoakum can get us an update on what's gone wrong there. Matt?
Alan, Joe Nemechek finished 5th in Saturday's Busch race. He entered this event very confident, but currently his number 33 car is very loose. They're hoping to hold on and not lose a lap before the first caution so they can tighten this up. Currently, Andy Petrie and Joe are going over what adjustments to try to make to this race car to fix this ill-handling machine.
That's tough, man. When you're only 20 laps into a race and your car is that loose, very, very tough to drive. All you're trying to do is keep it from getting in the fence, and you're just hoping for a yellow so you can get in and make some adjustment.
Dale Jarrett creeping in on Sterling Marlin for 6th place.
And you wonder, how could that happen immediately? You know, because they practiced yesterday. How could that happen? Because they were not happy with the car. A lot of these teams, oh, we got a car in the wall. Is that Skinner?
Mike Skinner.
Oh, hard contact.
And it looked like, Benny, that he cut a right front tire down on that one. That car just took off to the right.
It's probably knocked the fuel pump off it. That's where the fire's coming from under the hood.
Come on, Mikey, get on out.
That was a hard lick.
See this caution at lap 23.
He had a good in-car shot of that, and it. I believe he cut right front.
See the safety workers.
Right here, folks. That's a tire mark. That's a tire going down. And there's nothing you can do, Benny, when that happens. When you're going into a corner 195 mile an hour and you blow a tire, you are along for the ride.
It's the most helpless feeling in the whole wide world, because you see the wall coming, you know what's going to happen, you know you're going to be hurt. There's nothing you can do except sit there and take it.
Safety workers there with Skinner as the pace car gathers up the field and gets it under control. Second crash of the weekend for Skinner. He had a crash here on Friday morning in practice, where in turn 4 the car got out from under him and backed into the fence. Pretty hard crash that one was.
See, Jimmy Spencer has decided to come down pit road and make some adjustments on his car, but no one else. I mean, you talk about a city. He's the only guy. Oh, here comes several more cars, but all these cars losing so much track position, especially Jimmy Spencer.
Spencer was 7th before coming down pit road. Everyone else that's coming into pit was from about the 18th spot on back. Bill?
Well, Jimmy Spencer has told his crew his car is just too loose, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment on the right rear. 4 tires, top him off with fuel. He'll have to go around Mark Martin, who's pitted directly in front of him. Several guys stayed out because there's talk of a NASCAR caution at lap 40 to Dave Burns.
Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in and took on 4 tires. I didn't see any adjustments on Schrader's car. And FYI, NASCAR was going to throw a caution at lap 40 just to check tires if there wasn't one earlier. Unfortunately, we've gotten one earlier, and now the teams will have a chance to look over the tires. Wear has not been an issue, but heat buildup has been an issue here, and that's what they want them to check. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Joe Nemechek also pitted. We told you his car was loose in the center and off. They made a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment trying to fix that ill-handling race car.
Let's update the lap 40 issue. NASCAR said in the drivers' meeting they would throw a caution at lap 40 as you see the safety workers helping Mike Skinner away from his car.
Well, that's a good sign to see Mike at least walking or limping anyway, but he took a lick. That was a hard hit.
In the crash he had on Friday, he did bang pretty hard one of his feet in that car, so he may just have aggravated what was already sore from the other day. But boy, what a hard hit for Mike Skinner, and it's good to see him coming out of that race car. Let's go back and take another look at what happened to Mike Skinner.
Goes down the corner, and we've talked about the right front tire. I guess he cut it down. It goes flat, and we've talked about there's nothing you can do except go straight in the wall. There was the right side window coming out, and this car, folks, we've seen race cars torn up and the body fly off of them. This car is junk. This car is destroyed.
Looking ahead now from Dale Jarrett.
Right there, you see the tire go down, see the smoke, and you see how fast that thing goes up the racetrack into the wall.
So Mike Skinner is out of his car, but we are under caution. 25 laps into the Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland. The Tropicana 400 under caution at the Chicagoland Speedway after Mike Skinner cut down a tire and crashed in turn 1. Let's finish out the story about the lap 40 caution. NASCAR said in the drivers' meeting they would throw a caution at lap 40. Not if there wasn't one beforehand. There will be another yellow at lap 40, so it'll be interesting to see how many of those drivers that stopped under this caution stay out then for track position.
We saw Mike Skinner crash, and we saw the flame when he lost that tire down in turn 1. There he goes up, bam, in the wall, and there's the fire. And look under the hood of the car. On the right side, we see the fire. As he comes to a stop, we see the fire building under the hood. What happens on these General Motors cars, the fuel pump sits over by the frame rail. Let's go inside our virtual garage, and I'll show you. There's the fuel pump. When the car hits the wall, the frame rail goes over, breaks the the fuel pump, I should say. Gasoline spurts back on the hot exhaust system, which is about 1,500 degrees, and that's where the fire comes from.
While the cleanup continues, let's take a break. Under caution at lap 27 of the Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland. The Chicagoland Speedway is the site for the Tropicana 400 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. We are under the first caution of the race. Came out when Mike Skinner crashed in turn 1. Last night, in our Craftsman Truck Series update, Scott Riggs overtook Jack Sprague late in the race when Sprague's engine dropped a cylinder. Riggs scored the win to hang on to the point lead. In the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, yesterday here at Chicagoland, the NASCAR Busch Series ran a 300-miler. Jimmy Johnson's crew gave him just 2 tires on a late pit stop. Ryan Newman was chasing him down on 4 fresh tires, and then Newman ran into a lap car in his pursuit, and Johnson scored his first NASCAR Busch Series win. Now, in that race yesterday, on lap number 99, David Donahue in the 25 had crashed, and Dan Partis got forced into the outside wall and then slammed him from behind in a vicious hit. Partis was taken to the hospital, and Dave Burns could give us an update on his condition.
Alan, Dan Partis suffered a lower lumbar fracture in his back, and he's being fitted for a back brace. They are going to release him from the hospital today, so that's good news on Dan Partis. We're still waiting on news from Mike Skinner. He was taken into the infield care center. His wife has made her way in there, and also Richard Childress, car owner, has made his way in there. So as soon as we get some more information on Mike, we'll let you know.
Set to go back racing as the pace car heads for pit road. It is Ricky Rudd, Kevin Harvick, Todd Bodine, Jerry Nadeau, and Sterling Marlin, the top 5. Jimmy Spencer was 7th, made a pit stop. He's back to 21st in line now. Here's the restart master. Hornaday going to grab a spot on the outside. Got 9th away from Casey Atwood.
As we watch Atwood, Leffler, and Rusty Wallace go down the backstretch. Andy Houston takes the 96 car down pit road to get back in the race here at Chicagoland Speedway.
And he'll be 31 laps down after the field overtakes him. Rusty Wallace in 12th place. Here's the lead. Kevin Harvick on the move.
All three of those cars should go by the 28 now. He's up there in that evil area. He's got no grip. Sterling's going to try to get in there, but just about shut the door.
And now Sterling's lost all of his momentum. He may lose a spot. Here's Robert Presley.
Oh, no, Robert. Robert, come on, Robert, come on. Be sensible, Robert. You can't do that. Oh, me. I can't believe he tried to make a pass on the outside.
That a boy, Robert.
Yeah, hey, I'd love to see some passes made on the outside.
But you better watch the evil area. Here's Bill Elliott in 9th.
As far as Ron Hornaday, who's having a terrific run in that green 14 car today.
Hornaday started 16th. He's running 8th.
Let's check out our telemetry on board with Ricky Rudd. I'm sorry, this is Bill Elliott. The power of suggestion. I looked up and saw Rudd's name. Miles per hour. 170. Look at it go down the straight. Look how fast it builds to 185, 88, over 190 to 197, 98. Wow. You know, folks, if they had speedometers inside the race cars, they would probably slow down 10 miles per hour. Because how would you like to look down and see 200 miles per hour?
They don't, just for that reason, Penny.
And the green bubble on the right, you see that's the location of the car on the speedway.
So Kevin Harvick is the third different driver to lead the Tropicana 400. Todd Bodine led the first 6 laps. Ricky Rudd from 7 to 31, and now Harvick is at the point. Let's get more on our race leader from Marty.
And remember, he ran the NASCAR Busch Series race yesterday, and I asked his crew chief, Kevin Hamlin, did he gain any experience from that? Remember, he also broke a gear in that race coming off pit road. He said, shoot, you kidding me? When they replaced the gear, he spun the tires leaving the garage, so he didn't learn a darn thing from that race. It kind of reminds me of someone else who used to drive this race car.
Jerry Nadeau looking for second spot. Is he going to find it?
He'll get it. There again, like I said, with that tape in on that nose, he can run low. It's just, can he run cool enough?
Yeah, I don't know that they planned on it being 88, 90 degrees today here in Chicago. You would think that 80 degrees would be a good temperature for Chicago, and maybe that much tape would be okay. But as the ambient temperature goes up, the more danger you have with all that tape. Dave Burns?
Benny, this morning there was a lot of discussion up and down pit road and crew chiefs looking at different cars to see what tape was being used, how much. And I talked with Danny Lawrence, the engine builder for the 29 car, and he told me that they checked temperatures compared to happy hour yesterday and race time today. It was 84 degrees yesterday, 91 today, and that makes a huge difference, especially to the engine guy who sees a lot more heat building up when you put that tape on.
Yeah, the engine guys don't want to see you put tape on the front of the car. They cringe when you put tape on. There's always a fight with the crew chief or the driver against the engine guys. Oh, no, don't put that much tape on.
A lap away from the scheduled 40-lap yellow flag as the leaders come to the start-finish line. So another lap around, we'll see the caution in the yellow lights.
Rudd gets a really good run on Todd Bodine, going down in 1. Takes that spot away.
That's third place. Todd's peeking back. Todd Bodine needs to finish this race before he can worry about winning. 6 times this year and failed to finish a race. He's got a strong car. Their main goal today, get to within shouting distance of the finish, in position to race for a top 5, and then go after it from there. Okay, where's the yellow flag? Right now it comes out. Caution as the leader goes into turn number 3, and Dale Jarrett goes underneath Todd Bodine for 4th spot. And we'll see the second yellow of the Tropicana 400. This is a NASCAR caution scheduled because this is a new racetrack and a new racing surface to allow the teams to check their tire wear, check their cars, make sure that everything is as it should be. What are the crews looking for on those tires?
Wear, heat, build up. You know, these tires, the Goodyear engineers recommend they run a certain air pressure. As they run these tires, the tires get hotter, the air pressure will build up inside that tire, and if it builds up more in the right front than the right rear, then you have a problem that you got to try to correct.
Andy Houston has taken his car back to the garage. It has been retired from the event. He's going to finish in 43rd position. There were there were 20 cars who pitted under the caution for the Mike Skinner crash. Interesting to see if they pit here. You don't have to. This is not a mandatory tire change. It's just a courtesy caution to let teams do that.
If I came in on that first go-around, we made some adjustments. My car's halfway decent. I'm going to stay out on the racetrack for track adjustment. But if I still need to tweak on it, I'll be down pit lane.
Let's see who stays out. We have one taker, Mark Martin. Mark was one of those who pitted earlier. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Jerry Nadeau, the second place car, hits his pit box. This will be a 2-tire stop. Jerry was saying his car was loose off, so they will adjust with scuff tires and air pressure. As they try to get in, pack that fuel cell full, it is down and away to Marty Snyder.
Kevin Harvick is in. He is the leader. Now, they had made an air pressure adjustment a little bit earlier on some tires when they thought they were going to come down on the last caution flag when Mike Skinner wrecked. They undid that adjustment because the car was very good on that run. Just a little bit tight, but they're very happy, and they're having trouble on the left rear, and he's now down and away, but he lost a lot of spots on pit road. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Todd Bodine started on the pole, fell back to 5th just before that mandatory caution came out. For about 20 laps, he'd been complaining the car was loose. They talked about doing 2 right-side tires, but just before coming on pit road, decided to go with 4 tires and a wedge adjustment to try and correct that loose handling condition.
We had 5 cars stay on the racetrack. Mark Martin, Johnny Benson, Robbie Gordon, Matt Kenseth, and Jeff Burton stayed out. The first one off of pit road was Dale Earnhardt Jr., followed by Jimmy Spencer, Jerry Nadeau, Bobby Labonte, and Joe Nemechek. We saw a number of just right side tire changes there.
We saw the 25 car, Jerry Nadeau, just changed right sides, and I was shocked at how long it took to put gasoline in the car. They were finished with the right sides 3 or 4 seconds before they let the car down for Nadeau to go.
You were watching some tape on the nose of that car.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they pulled some tape off. I don't think they pulled out. I think they just cleaned it. So his temperature must be okay if they didn't pull any tape off.
Field getting the signal 1 to go. And we'll go back racing next time. So Mark Martin assumes the race lead.
And if you saw those little red tabs, those are the tabs on the tape that during a pit stop, you can rip off a piece of tape, whether it may be 1 inch by 7 inches or whatever they think they need to do.
Let's get some more updates from pit road. Bill Weber.
Well, I'm here on Mark Martin's pit. They stayed out under the caution that time. When they came in during the early caution, they did put a rubber in the right rear, changed 4 tires, and gave him fuel. They talked about coming in the top off, but elected to stay out for a track position here early in the race. Let's go further down pit road.
Down here in the 25 pit, Bill, there was serious concern under the previous caution because Jerry Nadeau had reported his car was running very hot. It climbed from 240 to 250 to 260 degrees, but finally when they went back to green, it did drop back down 30 degrees to 230, but they are concerned the engine running very warm this early in the race because the temperatures today very hot. They did not think it was going to be this hot, and they're not too happy with the engine running this hot this early on. To Marty Snyder.
Matt, all the talk this week is about how this track has been one groove. It's been very difficult in the Busch Series racing so far today. So last night, in a desperate attempt, NASCAR officials put 4 trucks on the track for 3 hours. What they did is put tires behind those trucks, and they ran them up in the second groove, trying to lay down as much rubber as they could, trying to work in that second groove. We're back to green on the racetrack.
Remember, the first 5 in line did not pit. About the next 8 behind them only took right side tires.
Ricky Rudd trying to keep Rusty Wallace trying to block, but Rusty had a run. He kept going, and finally Ricky Rudd moved up the hill and let the 2-car have that position.
That was 13th place.
That was close.
Let's get an update down from Dave Burns, who's with Richard Childress.
Richard, you've been in the medical center. What condition did you find Mike in?
Well, I mean, you know, he's going to really be sore. They're going to take him to the hospital now and do some more tests on him. He's complaining with his leg and his neck, and he doesn't remember anything. He was knocked out, so he'll be okay, I think.
All right, good first update on Mike Skinner.
And we'll pass whatever further information we get on Skinner along as we go throughout the day.
Look at Harvick. Look at, just turn that car left off the corner. The 77 of Robert Preston, the 36 were racing. Harvick just turned left, and under him he went.
Ron Hornaday in that 14 car down below that line. In the drivers' meeting this morning, at the end of the drivers' meeting, Ken Schrader raised his hand and asked, was that white line at the bottom of this racetrack out of bounds like the yellow line at Daytona was? The answer was no. The out-of-bounds line will only be used at Daytona and Talladega, not here. And Schrader said it should be. Mark Martin is the leader of the Tropicana 400 over Johnny Benson, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton, and now Jimmy Spencer, who's moved up to the 5th position. Come back to Chicagoland in a minute. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
NBC Sports welcomes you back to Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet as our coverage of the Tropicana 400 continues. And currently problems for pole sitter Todd Bodine. Came in during the most recent caution period, was going to make 2 tires change, but they decided to go to a 4-tire change. And look at this. This is the right rear tire off of Todd's car. Significant chunks missing from here. They said they really didn't start on low air pressure either, so they were concerned about that. But Todd went back out on the track, made a few laps, and then came back down pit road under green. This, the left rear tire off of his car. You can see the damage here along the sidewall. Obviously another vibration here. They made a 4-tire change. So Todd Bodine started on the pole. Alan said how important it was for Todd Bodine to be around for a good finish today. He has a long battle to answer that quest.
Meanwhile, his teammate, Jimmy Spencer, has taken the lead from Johnny Benson. But what happened to Mark Martin? Oh, folks, a couple laps ago, he's leading the race, going in turn 3. Benson pulls up right behind him, and you saw that 6-car wiggle. He chased it up the hill and lost. He's back to where, Alan?
Mark is back in 6th position. And it was only a couple of laps after Benson went by Mark that Spencer just ran him down and went on by. Spencer's really fast. He's been on the move. He restarted. It was in 6th position, and he's just picking them off one at a time, and now he's got himself up front. So it's Spencer, Benson, Robbie Gordon, Jerry Nadeau, Dale Earnhardt Jr., then Martin, Jeff Burton, Jeremy Mayfield, Dale Jarrett up to 9th, and Bobby Labonte now in 10th position. Leaders before the caution flag, Ricky Rudd and Kevin Harvick. They're running in 12th and 13th. And Todd Bodine is 1 and almost a second lap down. He's about a lap and 3/4 behind after the unscheduled pit stop. He's in 41st position. There's Dale Jarrett pursuing Jeff Burton for 8th. And for 3rd, Jerry Nadeau.
The 25 car right now is the fastest car on the racetrack.
And Dale Jarrett finishes the pass on Jeff Burton to pick up the 8th spot. Jeremy Mayfield just went by Burton a lap prior to that to pick up 7th. So Burton beginning to slide back. Jeff, one of the cars that stayed on the track under that last caution. He took his tires under the yellow at lap 23.
And that's really surprising because this 99 car, Jeff Burton, I watched him and he seemed to really be struggling to try to keep up with these cars. Although he was on the outside, it's a possibility he just got out there and could not get back to the bottom. Is why he was so slow. I expected it to be back on pit road to make more adjustments.
Ken Schrader had a close call just a moment ago. Let's go back and take a look at that. Schrader has fallen all the way to 34th spot.
Schrader got a little bit of help there from the 30 car. That getting in the corner there, 30 car just touch the 36 car. And admitting it doesn't take much. When you're in a corner like that, these cars are about to break loose at any second anyway. You could touch the rear of that car and it'll get it out of shape.
30 car being Jeff Green. Announced yesterday that he'll drive a full season, actually for the next 3 years in that car, sponsored by AOL. Sterling Marlin trying to move up around Ron Hornaday. Jeff Gordon just made the pass on Hornaday for 15th half a lap ago.
And Jeff Gordon started in 28th, so before the day is over, I would expect to see the 24 car up front someplace. Here we go. Here's that fast car you're talking about, Wally. Jerry Ney doing 25 underneath the 10 of Benson, takes second spot away. Spencer, don't look in the mirror because they're going to be gaining on you.
And the best place the 25 car needs to be to keep that car cool is in clean air. He wants to get out front, so he's got open air, keep that car cool.
Kenny Schrader makes an unscheduled pit stop in the 36 car, the M&M's car.
Today Burns.
And he was very tight on the racetrack before he came in on lap 41, so they made a wedge adjustment and took on no tires. Well, that might have been him because he thinks he has a tire going down now, and they're going to change all four. He's still complaining of a tight condition.
Let's talk about this tire situation here for a minute. We saw Mike Skinner cut down a right front, crash hard. Todd Bodine had the flat tire. New racing surface. Is there an issue here that's going to play itself out through the day?
I mean, cutting down, having flat tires should not have any bearing on a brand new racetrack, but there has been an unusually large number of tires with cuts in them. Where these slashes are coming from, I can't imagine.
Jimmy Spencer extending his lead over Jerry Nadeau to 0.8 of a second. Last lap by, they both ran about equal lap times. Harvick trying to get 10th from Ricky Rudd.
Still there after the 29.
And will.
That was Rick Cordell, the spotter for the 28 car of Ricky Rudd, telling the 29 car and said he was clear after the 29.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to put some pressure on Robbie Gordon for the 4th spot. Robbie Gordon returning to the seat of this Ford. Mike Wallace being released from that ride earlier this week on Tuesday.
Talked to Jim Long this morning, and they worked really hard yesterday, not only in happy hour, but after happy hour, to try to get this car to handle. They weren't real happy with the way that car was handled in happy hour. They've changed a lot of things.
Robbie Gordon drove this car to a 2nd place finish in the road course race out at Sears Point a couple of weeks ago. As Gordon started the season behind the wheel of the Kodak car for Morgan McClure Racing. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Alan, just want to update the tire situation down here on pit road, and at least 2 of the flat tires. Several crew chiefs have reported via the radio that they have checked Skinner's tire and that he ran over something or appears to have run over something, and that cut the tire. As for the flat left rear that Todd Bodine had, that resulted from contact on the track with Ron Hornaday. So that explains at least 2 of the tire issues in the early laps here at Chicagoland.
All right, Jerry Nadeau has been running much faster than Jimmy Spencer for the past few laps. He's caught Spencer. We'll see what aerodynamics does to it. Will he be able to close up on the 26 or not?
See how the 26 is drifting up? 26 is a little bit tighter than the 25. The 25 should be able to get his nose underneath the 26, getting off the corner. And that's the key here, running low, like I said earlier. That car right there on the bottom, that's where you have to be.
Here's our Williams Energy race chase. Relative speeds in real time.
Nadeau, Spencer. Almost identical, same speed. Let's go down the corner. Spencer down to 163. Nadeau saw 164. As they come by the line, look at this, 188, 190. Oh. They got to go down the corner, and you wonder how Mike Skinner could hit the wall so hard. That's why, at 180 miles per hour, it goes straight.
168, both of them bottom speed, low slow point in the speed in the corner.
Last time by, average speed around the racetrack, these 2 cars ran exactly the same speed.
Now, is Jerry Nadeau at the point, having closed up behind Jimmy Spencer, where he has picked up the dreaded aero push?
Oh, he had a run there. I thought maybe he's going to get Spencer. If he can get Spencer off the bottom and get some air on the nose of his car, he'll be okay. If he can't, it looks like he's going to have to sit and ride behind Spencer, because you're right, that aero push does not allow him to turn the wheel and turn hungry.
These cars rely so much on the pressure the air moving over the bodies creates to press it down onto the racetrack, that when you get behind another car in his wake and the pressure is not as great, it makes it hard to keep the car turned.
Right, and as you're looking at Jerry's car right now, you want to get the left side of the nose down to the left just a little bit. Get some air down on that side of the car. That pushes the car into the racetrack better for more grip.
But watch the car push up the corners. He comes off the corner at 170 miles per hour, accelerated down the back. Look at the RPMs, 8,600 RPMs. And watch again, he's picked up some air, a little extra air in that right front. Nadeau's car is now starting to push up off the corner.
Jimmy Spencer is the leader of the Tropicana 400. We're just past 100 miles, and we'll come back in a minute. On to NBCSports.com to get Benny Parsons' inside look at every Winston Cup race. Plus, check out Benny's special interactive on the top 5 drivers who could emerge as NASCAR's next superstar. You'll find it all at NBCSports.com. No change on the leaderboard, top 5 anyway. 6 places just changed hands. Kevin Harvick around Dale Earnhardt Jr. to pick up that spot. Jr. starting to fall back a little bit, but all things considered, to be up in 7th position after starting in 36th, not too bad.
And Dale Jarrett goes by the 7 car to take over the 4th position.
Let's go back and talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr. just a minute. Last Saturday night, we were so privileged to witness what was one of the most exciting moments I've ever seen in Winston Cup racing, the celebration after Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. And earlier this weekend, Jr. told us just how exciting the finish of that race was for him.
To come across the finish line again in front of the fans and have Michael join me there in the infield, I mean, that was just great. I mean, it just can't, there'll never be another moment like that for me. I don't think another feeling like that. I don't think I'll be able to top it. It's just, there'll be other wins and maybe a championship or something like that. It might come along, but I'll never be able to accomplish that again. So I'll never forget it.
Don't know that I'll ever forget it either.
I know I won't, because it was special.
180,000 people all on their feet screaming in just the spontaneous celebration between Dale Jr. and his team and Michael Waltrip and what the win meant for them. It really was great. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Alan, I had a conversation with Dale's crew chief, Tony Urey, this morning, and they said they were having a problem with coil bind. That is that the spring on the left front is such a soft spring to try to keep the nose down for the downforce in the turns that when he gets to the turns, the car bottoms out. That spring coils as far as it will go, and it hits like a rock and sends the car out of control. I just spoke with Tony again. They are having the same problem. They radioed back and forth to each other. We can't fix it, because if we go to the shock to try to fix that situation, we're going to make you way too tight. And Tony told Dale Jr., you're going to have to live with it. And as if to acknowledge that, Dale hasn't said a thing on the radio since.
If he didn't like the answer, he might have shut the radio off.
Yeah, there might not be any radio communication the rest of the day.
So Dale Jr. in 7th spot now, and Mark Martin trying to close in on him. Michael Waltrip, the other participant in the celebration at Daytona last weekend, soldiering along in 20th place. Michael started back in 39th, so he's gained a number of positions. But Michael's not had a good weekend here so far. They have just not been able to make that car handle to his satisfaction. And he's had some trouble getting the feel for his entry line into turn number 1. How does a driver feel where to go at a new racetrack?
Well, pretty much you get into the pucker factor, Alan. You get down into turn 1 and you drive it as far as you can, and it's all, you keep going in deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, a new track like this, you only have one groove, so it's not like you can change your entry a whole lot. You got to follow that groove until there's a lot of rubber on the racetrack. So that some guys will take a late entry into the corner. Some guys will charge the corner a little bit lower. Different styles of driving. But here you're pretty much stuck with what the groove is going to tell you to do.
Jimmy Spencer puts Bobby Hamilton a lap down. Race leader has also just overtaken Hut Strickland and Stacy Compton, the 38th and 39th place runners.
I thought maybe when Spencer ran across that traffic and started getting some of that arrow push on the nose of his car that Nadeau would be able to close in on him, but it looks like the Spencer, the 26th, is really hooked up well now.
Ricky Rudd running in 10th place. Bobby Labonte, defending series champion, trying to close in from behind. Labonte just got right side tires on that last caution flag pit stop, and here comes Jeff Gordon to join the fight too.
He's moved up to 12th position.
Next weekend, NASCAR on TNT. The NASCAR Busch Series is going to run the 1.25 mile Gateway International Raceway on Saturday night. And then it's the 1 mile New Hampshire International Speedway next Sunday. And you'll see it on TNT. Jeff Gordon by Bobby Labonte. That's 11th spot. Five lead changes so far in the Tropicana 400. Jimmy Spencer, the latest to lead the parade. We'll come back in just a moment. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
NBC's coverage of the Tropicana 400 is brought to you by Dodge and nearly 3,000 dealers who invite you to come see what's new. By Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. By UPS, the official delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck. And by Circuit City. We know how you feel. That's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you.
NASCAR expands to new territory today. The 1.5 mile Chicagoland Speedway. Some $150 million to build it on 900 acres, about 30 miles south of downtown Chicago. In the city of Joliet, hosting the Tropicana 400. And you're looking at the leader, Jimmy Spencer, in the 26 car.
And Spencer has run up behind his teammate, Todd Bodine, the 66 car, who had an unscheduled pit stop. We'll see how much trouble he has getting by Todd.
A lot of these drivers on the moving up graphic stayed on the racetrack under the last caution. If they don't get a caution in the next 5 or 6 laps, they're going to be coming to pit road under the green, and they will quickly join our sliding back graphic group.
And also, they'll probably take 4 tires, and taking 4 tires under green, you're going to lose a lot more time.
But you have to take 4 tires. It makes all the sense in the world if you need a full load of fuel.
No, you're right, Alan. Yeah. You've got to take 4, but not coming in under the yellow and taking advantage of that is going to hurt them.
Today, Burns.
Robbie Gordon is in. He's been complaining the car is a little bit tight off. He came in on lap 24. The car was neutral, so it has tightened up on him. They're going to look like they're going to make an air pressure adjustment only, clean off the windshield. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, this is the disadvantage of not coming in under that mandatory caution. Mark Martin had to come get fuel. It's a 4-tire stop. These are 4-lap scuffed tires. Give them a little more durability out on the track. Make it a little stout. No chassis change. He's got fuel and heads out.
Talking about scuffed tires. On this brand new surface, the teams were really concerned about putting stickers on. First of all, the car lost a lot of speed, but they were concerned about going on the racetrack with those stickers and the first time just charging around the racetrack. So that's why all the teams scuffed 4 or 5 sets. See Matt Kenseth on pit road.
And also, Benny, sometimes, the theory is anyway, is if you scuff the set of tires, it kind of cures the tire. Makes the tire a little bit more durable and a little bit harder. That's another reason why those scuff tires, especially the right side.
Scanning some of the team's radios, communications from the drivers back to their pits. A couple of drivers reporting maybe an issue up in turn 4 with some of the top surface of stone in the asphalt beginning to wrinkle up a little bit.
Wow.
That's not unusual at a new racetrack, especially on a hot day.
And that's like hitting ice with one of these race cars. You go barreling down in the corner or off the corner, and if you hit that, it's like hitting a sheet of ice. Car just takes off.
Matt?
Johnny Benson was one of the drivers who pitted under the first caution. He took on 4 tires. He stayed out under the mandatory caution for track position, so he had to come now. Another 4-tire stop for Johnny Benson, and he's down and away. An air pressure adjustment on both right side tires. He was loose in and tight in the middle.
be careful on that burnout there, JB. We saw Kevin Harvick yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series race. Rev the engine up, hit the clutch, nothing.
But if they were scuff tires, you can get away with that a little bit. Because you get a little bit of the stick off them. If they're stickers, they're going to be grabbier, and that's more dangerous.
Jimmy Spencer comes by as leading the race, completing yet another lap.
Grabbier.
Grabbier.
Is that a driver's term?
I just made it up. You know, a lot of these guys, talking to Steve Allen, the motor tuner for Yates cars, they said that their fuel window was about 58, which is a lot lower than, like, Randy Dorton said they were in the 62 lap range. Talked to Glover, he said 64. So I think the Yates cars probably maybe a little bit conservative just to see what they're going to get the first pit stop.
Jeff Burton and Ron Hornaday coming to pit road for their stops. As we ride with Jerry Nadeau. Here's Burton. Jeff, one of the 5 who stayed on the track at the lap 41 caution. Matt?
This is a 4-tire stop for Jeff Burton. They are going to put on scuff tires. He throws out the water bottle. And he's down and away.
42, second gear, get it all, 42, second gear, 42. Be easy getting off the pit road. Be easy.
Dave?
Jeremy Mayfield is in. He's had ignition box problems today. He went to the front and then had to go back. They think they have those cleared now. He changes 4 tires and leaves pit lane.
While all these stops going on, no change on the leaderboard. Spencer Nadeau still the top 2. 5.5 seconds back is Kevin Harvick in 3rd, then Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 4th, and Dale Jarrett in 5th. Jeff Gordon, because of some of the pit stops now, has moved up to 6th. That, and he's got a pretty fast race car right about now. Bobby Labonte, Ricky Rudd, Joe Nemechek, and Sterling Marlin now make up the rest of the top 10. This is 5th place. Speaking of fast race car and Jeff Gordon.
How about that? He has run Dale Jarrett down and goes by him.
Top 2 in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Jarrett closing the win to within 48 points of Gordon after Jeff had first the crash damage and then the oil cooler come out of his car. Finished 37th at Daytona last Saturday night.
And look at Jeff Gordon. You talking about that white line and keeping that car down. Just looks like he's driving so easily around the racetrack. Let's go to Williams Race Chase, and we'll check out the 24 car and the 88.
Well, you know, when you're a race driver, BP, things didn't always go perfect throughout the day.
Just guess, Bennett. Well, I would say that Jeff Gordon right now, folks, going down the corner, about 188 right there. We see Steve Park on pit road, changing 4 tires.
Ricky Craven, Terry Labonte have been in. Joe Nemechek has been in. Matt Yoakum.
Another 4-tire stop for Steve Park. He's down and away. No chassis adjustments on the 1 car.
Casey Atwood is on pit road. There's Casey in the red Dodge from the Ray Evernham Motorsports team. Dale Earnhardt Jr. pits from 4th position. Dave Burns.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in. Remember, they had a problem with the left front. The spring was coiling on him, coil binding, and it looks like they're just going to adjust that, if anything, with air pressure. Remember, Tony Eury told him to live with it, and so it doesn't appear they're going to make any chassis adjustments. A long stop now waiting on the left rear, and finally Dale Jr. is back out.
Wow. 19.3. That will kill your day.
And that second or 2, Benny, feels like an eternity when you're sitting in the pits. When you're sitting there ready to go and you're waiting for them to drop that jack and there's trouble, feels like forever.
3 seconds on the racetrack at a place where it only takes 30 seconds to get around. You've given up a 1/10 of a lap to somebody that you might have been nose to tail with when you came onto pit road. 7th place, Tony Stewart moving up.
Just a couple more laps, buddy.
Started 27th, Stewart did. Dale Jarrett just about blew the opening to pit road. He's right behind Jeff Gordon. He managed somehow to cut across the corner and get it onto the pit lane. Let's go to Bill Weber.
And
And it's a very tricky entrance onto pit road when you try and make that transition from the racing surface. Jeff Gordon now getting 4 scuff tires and fuel. Got 4 tires and fuel at lap 40. No changes for Gordon coming in off the disappointment last week at Daytona. So Jeff Gordon looking to pick up another win, this time the first one at Chicagoland. Jimmy Spencer is on. He's also getting 4 tires. Spencer's getting 4 sticker tires. No changes at all to this car. Now remember, Spencer did run the Busch race here on Saturday. Had a great run in that race until late when they had trouble on a pit stop. To Matt Yoakum.
Jerry Nadeau came down pit road, made a 4-tire stickered stop. No chassis adjustments for Nadeau to Marty.
A nice run that last time for Tony Stewart. They were very fast on that run. He comes in running 5th. They have 7 top 10s in the last 8 races. He was a little bit tight. They did make a wedge adjustment. They dropped the jack, and he is down off pit road. Kevin Harvick is also in. His car extremely good. He was very patient on that run. He was a little bit tight, but they will make no adjustments on this race car, and they will take 4 tires for Kevin Harvick.
Bobby Labonte's the race leader. Now he comes to pit road. That's Bobby all the way at the top of the screen. 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit to Dave.
Robert Presley having a great run, makes a 4-tire change. He complained of being a little tight in the middle of the corner. They made a wedge adjustment in the right rear and send Robert on his way.
Ward Burton in, Stacy Compton and Rusty Wallace along with Sterling Marlin just off pit road. Elliott Sadler is going to pick up the lead until he comes to pit road. So it's Elliott Sadler, after the fine 3rd place finish at Daytona, who goes to the point pending his stop. There's Elliott.
When all this circles out, 25 car beat the 26 car off pit lane in that pit stop sequence there.
And Elliott Sadler in this 21 car, they keep talking about, oh, and he's coming in the pit road because as he slows down on the backstretch. That's the spotter telling him 4,000 second gear. Remember, 45 miles per hour. Slow down. You can't get caught speeding. Attaboy.
So Jerry Nadeau goes back to the lead as Elliott Sadler comes in for his stop. This is at lap 107, just past 150 miles in the Tropicana 400. Marty.
And Elliott Sadler comes down pit road. They've had a pretty good little run that last time. He was a little bit tight. He is loose right when the car starts going, but that's probably because of air pressure. But what they do is get tighter the longer the run goes. They will obviously make a 4-tire stop, pack it with as much fuel as they can, and Elliott Sadler will be on his way. But they've had a pretty good run today. They're pretty happy coming off the great 3rd place finish at Daytona.
Also, a reason why that car is probably a little bit loose at the beginning of the run is because of that fuel load in the rear. With the weight in the rear of the car will loosen the car up. As that fuel burns off, the car will get tighter.
So Jerry Nadeau is the leader. Jimmy Spencer is 2nd. Johnny Benson 3rd. Kevin Harvick 4th. And Jeff Gordon 5th. Then you've got Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, Jeremy Mayfield, Bobby Labonte, and Robbie Gordon in the top 10. A little deeper on, Nemechek is 11th, Stewart 12th, Marlin 13th, Todd Bodine out of sequence. Remember, he had the green flag pit stop back at lap 49. If he can catch a caution here, it'll get him back into the thick of things. But right now, he's on the lead lap in 14th spot. And then you've got Earnhardt Jr. in 15th. Buckshot Jones is in 26th. He now becomes the first car 1 lap down as Nadeau goes behind him. Let's see, some others that have gone a lap down in this exchange of pit stops in the long green flag run we've had. You've got Ward Burton, Steve Park, Robert Presley, now Elliott Sadler's a lap down. Jason Leffler, Michael Waltrip, Kevin LePage, John Andretti, Ricky Craven, Terry Labonte. All these guys now a lap down. Schrader, Brett Bodine, Stacy Compton, Bobby Hamilton, Hutch Strickland. So this long green flag run has taken a lot of guys out of the hunt.
And like I said earlier, I think a lot of it had to do with that pit stop earlier. Coming in under the yellow is much better than having to pit during the green and taking 4 tires on.
Look at our Coors pit summary. Spencer and Nadeau swapping spots around. Good work by the Nadeau crew. And that's so helpful to the driver.
Oh, man, I'm telling you what. You know, when you come in and your crew picks you up a couple of spots, even one spot in a pit stop, you just get so pumped up leaving the pits, and you know they're pumped up, but that's a free pass. That's the easiest pass you'll make on the racetrack all day.
We have a caution on the speedway. Debris reported on the racetrack. Caution is out for debris, third one of the race at lap number 113. And that saves Todd Bodine.
And you hit it right, Alan. That's what he needed, and he got it.
Kept Todd Bodine on the lead lap, so he had a bad break with the cut tire earlier. Good break here, and it comes back around to him. Good for him. On to the yellow flag in the Tropicana 400 with Jerry Nadeau, the race leader. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Konnichiwa!
Who's a biggie? Who's about ya?
Now you can learn how to say what's up in 36 different languages. Just visit Budweiser.com today and learn useful phrases like "Was ist los? ¿Qué pasa?" Instantly bond with your fellow man the world over.
Yo, telephone. Hello? Tva! Who's a boogie? Konnichiwa!
Here's our Wendy's race menu as we come back to the Tropicana 400 at the Chicagoland Speedway. A lot of action in the next month, and you'll see it on TNT and NBC. Next Sunday, the Mile, New Hampshire International Speedway, the New England 300 at 1:30 Eastern Time. Couple of weeks, the 2.5-mile giant triangle in Pocono, Pennsylvania, and then it's the Brickyard 400 on August 5th. The race for the championship on NBC and TNT. Only a couple of pit stops under this caution, and watch Dale Jr. coming on pit road a minute ago.
He just passes him on the pit road.
Excuse me, left turn. I wonder if he had his directional on. We talked about how hard this pit road is, and Dale Jarrett almost blowing the entrance to pit road on the green flag stops.
Right here, see those dots right there? That's telling you pit lane is coming up. You come off the track, and it's a hard left. And what happens is you're coming off the track that's got rubber on it, that's got stick on it, and then you get on that apron, and it's very slippery. Also, you're following, which I think is one of the best guys to get in and out of the pits, and that's Jeff Gordon. And he was trying to do the best he could to keep up.
Todd Bodine, Ron Hornaday, Jeff Burton, Dale Jr. among the leaders who pitted under this caution. Will come back for the restart.
This weekend, the drama of NASCAR is...
Log on now to NASCAR.com and check out the Conseco NASCAR Fantasy Challenge. You pick your own team of drivers and see how you match up against other fantasy teams. Log on today and you might just win a replica of the number 14 Conseco Winston Cup Pontiac. Field has been given the 1-to-go signal. Green flag next time by to pit road and Dave Burns.
Alan, you showed everyone Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s entrance into the pits. It was not good. Tony Uri, the crew chief, was looking to see what cars were pitting. They got a little bit out of sequence to get him in here, and that's why he made that abrupt move. He's also having motor problems. We'll keep you updated. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Dave, this is the right rear tire off Jerry Nadeau's car. You can see it does have some blister marks, so they have told Jerry to go a little bit easier on this number 25 machine, take a little bit easier on the tires, but the biggest concern is his health. Right now, Jerry's reporting he is sick to his stomach. Dr. Scott McNair, one of the Hendrick team physicians, is right now talking to Rick Hendrick about what they can do to help the comfort for the leader, to Marty.
And Matt, the caution before this, when everybody came down pit road, very well timed for Dale Jarrett, the second place man in points. Look at this. The left rear tire had a hole in it, had 14 pounds of air pressure when they did take it off. Right now, DJ's still a little bit free, but he's pretty happy with the car. Let's go to Bill Weber.
And just about to go green here at Chicagoland Speedway. Want to show you the right front tire they just took off of Rusty Wallace's car. It has significant damage. We'll take a look at it after they get back up to speed here. It had significant damage to the shoulder. They said that the tire wear is fine. You can see that on the tire by looking at it, but they have a lot of damage in here. You can see that this chunk is missing. Rusty did not feel anything wrong with the tire. Goodyear has told the teams increase air pressure and that these tires will take 2 laps to come in. A lot of concern on pit road.
Mr. Driver, you're looking at that?
I don't want to see that.
And thinking what, yeah.
And I don't want them to tell me how bad it is.
And Spencer is battling for second spot.
Tell you what, 25 car got a great restart.
Kevin Harvick gets by Spencer for that second spot. Spencer got hung up around that track. Well, he's not by him yet. Maybe Spencer's going to make an outside group all by himself.
Dewey beats Truman there, BP.
Still there.
Johnny Benson mixing it up for second also. There are 3 lap cars between leader Jerry Nadeau and this race for second. You knew the inside lane would eventually win out.
But that's the best the outside's looked all day.
Harvick second. Spencer third. Benson fourth. Gordon fifth. For more on Kevin Harvick, here's Marty.
Guys, during that last caution, Richard Childress radioed to Kevin Harvick. He said, "You're about 3/10 faster than anybody." Kevin came back and said, "I don't see anybody that can get through this traffic as good as we can. We have got a very good race car." Then he asked for an update on his teammate Mike Skinner. Of course, the update was pretty good. They have an extremely good car. Kevin Harvick being very patient in the car right now. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Marty, Robbie Gordon was having a good run this weekend. Unfortunately, a water hose problem near the water pump. It either broke at the fitting or they ruptured the hose, not sure which. They're now trying to force water back into the very hot engine and get him back out.
Gordon 5 laps down in 41st position now as he loses time on pit road. Oh, man. Back at the very end of the field, they went off turn 2, 3 wide, and they all made it.
14 car, they're getting down into turn 3, got in that gray area, slid way up the racetrack.
The evil area.
The evil area.
But he kept it off the wall, and we keep under the green flag. Jeff Gordon in 5th, pressuring Johnny Benson in the 10 car for 4th. Not pressured him anymore. He's just going to go on by.
I got a sneaky feeling this 24 car is something these guys do not want to see in front, because I think Jeff Gordon is very, very good.
The usual Sunday morning stroll through the garage area, doing our reconnaissance, if you will. That number 24 was on a lot of people's lips as being the man to watch today. Even though he didn't qualify well, a lot of folks thought he was going to be very difficult to handle.
And he is going to be before the day's over, there's no doubt.
So Gordon to 4th. And that's Dale Jarrett, his rival for the championship, right behind Benson. Jarrett now in 6th. Gordon has led a lap today. DJ has not.
Lap, great lap.
All right, let's check out the miles per hour. Gordon, Benson, Jarrett. Gordon, 199 miles per hour down in turn 1.
Correct myself. Gordon has not led a lap today. It was Ricky Rudd, the one of the 3 title contenders who's collected the bonus points.
And you can see just how close these NASCAR Winston Cup cars are in speed. About the same speed in the corner, about the same speed on the straightaway. And we're talking about a Chevrolet, a Pontiac, and a Ford. So Jarrett touched 200 miles per hour. Not me. He can have it.
Ricky Rudd is back in 13th position as we watch Dale Jarrett take a spot from Johnny Benson. That's 5th. Ricky Rudd had a little problem a moment ago. Let's take a look. Running behind John Andretti.
What's wrong with that? He just drove down on the apron. You said that were legal, didn't you?
That looked good to me.
Yeah, it looked real good to me. Jarrett closes it up right on the back bumper of Gordon. And boy, they just aren't off the accelerator that long. They back off to go in the corner, touch the brake just a little bit, and back on it.
Top 2 in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship, running nose to tail in 4th and 5th positions. About 3.5 seconds behind leader Jerry Nadeau in the Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland. Tomorrow night at 8, 7 Central, don't miss out on back-to-back brand new episodes of Fear Factor and Weakest Link. That's a new Fear Factor followed by a new Weakest Link and an all-new Dateline starting Monday at 8, 7 Central on NBC. No Fear Factor for Jerry Nadeau. He is blasting around the Chicagoland Speedway at speeds of 177 miles an hour. He is the leader of the Tropicana 400 as we cross the 200-mile mark in this race. Next time by, we're halfway.
Jerry Nadeau, for him, life is grand.
Well, that's where you want to be as a driver. Out front, nobody in front of you, a lot of room behind you. Car's good. Hopefully the water temperature is down.
Yeah, let's talk about the tape factor. In case you weren't with us earlier, we talked about that this car was carrying a little more tape on the nose than some others, which helps the front aerodynamic downforce, but reduces the air flowing to the radiator. Had a report that under the caution flag a minute ago, Nadu reported a water temperature of 270 degrees, which is extraordinarily high.
Because at the speed that the pace car runs around the racetrack, not enough air was going through that small opening in the grill to cool the car off. I think at speed right now, his temperature is probably okay. Just on the caution flags is where he's going to have the problem.
8th place. Joe Nemechek, Tony Stewart, and Sterling Marlin in the 33, 20, and 40, respectively. Stewart's a guy, another one that a lot of people thought would be a strong contender to win this race. He hasn't flexed a lot of muscle yet.
Yeah, that's the guy that people kept telling me the 20 car looks so good.
Jump off the bottom there.
Yeah, that corner was not exactly what Tony was looking for. Oh, we got a car in the wall. Looks like Steve Park has pounded the wall up in turns 3.
Caution's out.
Caution's down. It was us up against the top.
Steve Park has pancaked the right side of the
Guys coming on pit road.
one car.
I said pounded, and I'm not sure that's exactly correct, but he has made some contact with the wall, and as you said, flattened the side of it.
Right to the garage. Matt?
Well, Alan, he'd been reporting all day his car was just terribly loose, just trying to hang on to it all day. But it looks like motor failure could be the culprit for the one car's DNF. A tough break for Steve Park, trying to bounce back. They've had some tough past couple of weeks dropping in points. Let's go back upstairs.
Yeah, Steve has finished 23rd, 32nd, 40th, and 20th in the last 4 races after being a strong contender for the championship in the opening couple of months of the season.
And Benny, like you were saying earlier, this is not what the 25 needs to see right now. They don't need a caution. That's going to get the engine hot. That could be a problem.
You see how slow the pace car's going down the racetrack? So there's no air at all hardly going in the grill of the 25 car.
Pace car runs at 50 miles an hour. They've been racing at 175.
They do have an electric fan they can turn on to pull some air through, but obviously it isn't enough. There we see, and we can see a fire under the hood where whatever happened to the engine, some oil came out, got on the exhaust system, and then we saw a brief fire under the left by the left front tire.
Lap 138. Here come the leaders onto pit road.
And you see that Dale Jarrett, I talked about how good that Jeff Gordon was. Jarrett passed Jeff Gordon on the racetrack to take over that 4 spot.
Anybody take 2 tires here? We'll find out. Matt?
This should be a 2-tire stop for Jerry Nadeau. It should be scuffs going on the 25 car. His front tire changer, Shane Parsnow, is suffering from tendonitis. He was questionable today, but he is still servicing the car, and the 25 is down and away to Bill.
Just a little over 30 laps on Spencer's tires, so he only takes 2, gets fuel, races down pit road with Nadeau. Marty.
And a lightning fast stop for Kevin Harvick. It was 2 tires only. They took a half pound out of the right front. He was a little bit tight, and he thinks he won the race off pit road.
Well, I think that Harvick won the race off pit road, but I don't know who won that race between Spencer and Nadeau, and I don't think they do either.
Reminds you of a Saturday night short track race somewhere where the driver's going to ride around beside each other waiting for the scorers to tell them where they belong.
And it's hard to do when you have a pit road speed. You're sitting there going, no, I got to go a little bit quicker, but you don't want to get nailed for speeding.
I mean, and this is not like you get a $25 fine or a $50 fine like you would at home for speeding 1 or 2 miles per hour over. They penalize you to the end of the line. I mean, it's a serious deal here.
And it would set you all the way back to about 22nd spot if you get penalized to the longest line. Under caution in the Tropicana 400, you're watching NASCAR on NBC.
If you wanna run cool, you got to run on heavy, heavy fuel. Heavy, heavy fuel. Heavy, heavy fuel.
Full house house at the Chicagoland Speedway for the inaugural Tropicana 400 as our race for the championship coverage continues on NBC and TNT. Next weekend, it's off to New England, my home turf. Friday, it's butt pole qualifying for the New England 300 on CNN Sports Illustrated at 2 Eastern Time. Final practice from New Hampshire Saturday at 4 Eastern on TNT. Plus the NASCAR Busch Series race from St. Louis Saturday night at 8 Eastern Time. 1 week from today, the New England 300 from the Magic Mile on TNT at 1:30 Eastern Time. The race for the championship right on through November on NBC and TNT. Cleanup continuing, so we'll take a break and come back before the restart. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. All right.
Coverage you can count on from Dennis Bounds and King 5 News.
The Tropicana 400 is under caution for the 4th time for debris, for Steve Park dropping debris out of his car when it lost an engine and scraping the wall up in turns 3 and 4. 9 leaders, 10 lead changes. You see 4 caution flags in the race, those out of the event. Andy Houston went out with a driveline problem early. Mike Skinner with a hard crash at lap 23. And now Steve Park goes to the garage area as well. Off the pit stops, Kevin Harvick takes the lead. Jerry Nadeau did beat Jimmy Spencer off of pit lane, so he gets 2nd. Spencer's 3rd, followed by Sterling Marlin and Jeff Burton. Jeff Green is up to 6th, followed by Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, and then Tony Stewart. Let's go to pit road. Dave Burns.
This is looking all too familiar. Steve Park yesterday in the Busch race, blue motor hit the wall. What happened this time?
Same deal, really. Just the engine let go in the Pennzoil Chevrolet and just got up in the wall. Just fortunate we didn't get it turned around and spun back across the racetrack in front of the oncoming traffic. So we're fortunate there, but man, we've had a string of bad luck here. It's dropping us out of the top 10 in points, and it's not what we were looking for the second half of the season. So I just hope that we're getting some of this bad luck behind us, because it's really taking its toll on us right now.
Yep, and it did take a hit in the points again. He's had 5 straight finishes of 20th or worse. He's going the wrong way. Matt Yoakum.
Dave, Scott Maxim is one of the engine specialists here at Hendrick Motorsports, working today in the 25 pit. Scott, under the previous caution, the water went up to 270. How many heat cycles like that can that motor take?
It can take a few, but we'd like to limit that. When we get under caution, the airflow slows down. We don't get as much air through the radiator. It goes up. When he's out there running green, especially when we're running out front, the temperature's around 200 to 210, so we're happy there. I think we'll be okay.
To Bill.
Well, let's update Mark Martin. To find him, you have to go way back in the field, almost at the tail end of the line, and here's why. He was out of sequence anyway, so when that caution came out, they wanted to come in and get 2 right side tires, pull the right spring rubber because he's been loose. Well, they did that, but a lot of other guys took 2 tires, so they didn't gain any track position. Brought him back in, put on lefts, topped him off with fuel. Mark can go all the way on just 1 more stop. Now, here's another story about a guy that's dropped back in the field, Rusty Wallace. He took 4 tires on that stop, but remember the tire we showed you earlier that had the chunk out of it? Well, they upped the air pressure 1 pound to try and account for that and alleviate that problem. Rusty has 4 fresh tires, air pressure up a little bit, and enough fuel. He can probably make it on 1 more stop as well.
Set for the restart with Kevin Harvick and most of the 11 behind him on just right side tires. They've got 34 laps on their left side tires from the previous set of pit stops. Kevin LePage is the first car a lap down, trying to get one back from the leader. He's in 26th place. And he's not going to do it.
And Spencer saying, thank God I got by that traffic, those lap cars before they captured me up on the outside.
Buckshot Jones in the 44, Ward Burton in the 22. They're both a lap down. Dale Jarrett kind of hung in there in traffic behind him as Rusty Wallace gets to his outside.
Oh, and the 19 car, Casey Atwood got up the evil stuff. Had to back off, get the car back under control, and look at this, 3 wide in the corner. Todd Bodine at 17 almost makes contact. Ricky Rudd is in the middle of that.
Kurt Busch in the 97, 17th position on the lead lap. This is with Ricky Rudd.
High
Brian Groove's looking better and better as we go along here.
Oh, hang on there, Matt Kenseth. Remember, that's not out of bounds this week. But I can't imagine driving down onto the flat and then back up to the bank is good for the car.
I don't think there's enough transition that'll really be too bad, Alan. I think some places you do go, you'll get into the valence, the front valence on the nose. But it looks like he can get away with it here.
Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon in 7th, 8th, and 9th positions.
And Tony Stewart right behind Jeff Gordon. As Dale Jarrett looks back at Buckshot Jones, and he goes up the hill as Junior gets under him.
Buckshot a lap down in 27th spot. Casey Atwood is on pit road after troubles on the restart. Watch for Casey.
Got tagged a little bit maybe there, a 14 car. Wow, look at these guys running up on each other.
You racers have no mercy. Somebody just has to crack the throttle for a second and you jump all over him.
Jeff Gordon trying to get underneath Junior, and that was a pretty good move there.
Racing for 8th. So Gordon is through, and he and Dale Jarrett kind of playing shadow to each other all day today.
Dale Jarrett is the car in front of Jeff Gordon in the 7th position. Gordon is in 8th. Junior's in 9th.
Third player in the championship, Ricky Rudd, is back in 18th. A little thank you wave from Tony Stewart.
When you get to a racetrack like this, it really is. The groove is very narrow, and a driver moves over for you so you can go on, and it doesn't really slow you down. Believe me, you give him a big wave because that is very important.
Bobby Labonte off the pace. Marty, what's gone wrong?
Bad news for the reigning Winston Cup champion, Allen. He is off the pace. He said it picked up a bad skip when it started to go. When they went green that last time, he tried both ignition boxes. Neither one worked. Bobby just radioed to the team. I think he can start loading it up because this thing's getting ready to let go. Engine problems for the MB&A Interstate Batteries Pontiac.
Bobby's back in 24th place, last on the lead lap. Was down by their team transporter this morning, went to cautions out. Believe there's been some debris spotted on the racetrack once again. Oil on the track.
The 14 car is coasting toward the garage here, so it could be the Ron Hornaday automobile.
Elliott Sadler going to come by the leader and get a lap back at the caution. 24th place car getting back on the lead lap. So oil on the racetrack, most likely from Ron Hornaday's car. Brings out caution. This is on board Dale Jr.
Oh,
that's big time loose there.
And he's lucky to get up in the evil stuff like that and save that automobile.
Dale Jr. falling back to 13th.
Another look.
Looks a lot worse than where he was sitting. And it is.
So he catches his breath and regroups. Probably gets a pit stop to do so as well. As we are under caution for the 5th time in the Tropicana 400. Kevin Harvick is out in front. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
NBC's coverage of the Tropicana 400 is brought to you by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. By the Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better. By Walmart. Always low prices. Always. And by Pepsi, the choice of Victory Lane.
NBC's new hit series, Spy TV, takes hidden camera comedy where it's never been before. See everyday people's unpredictable reactions to extreme situations. Don't miss Spy TV, Tuesday at 8/7 Central and Thursday after Friends on NBC. Under caution for oil on the track. Most of the leaders did not pit. Bill Elliott was the only lead lap car who came in. Now some of those a lap or more down are on pit lane. We're going to be a minute cleaning up, so we'll take a break and we'll come back to Chicagoland in a moment.
I mean, our goal was to contend for the Busch Championship. Try and finish in the top 10 in the Winston Cup points and hopefully win the Rookie of the Year.
Harvick trying to hold on. Gordon races to his inside. They touch at the stripe.
Kevin Harvick has been stronger in NASCAR Winston Cup competition than anyone imagined he would be, taking over for the late Dale Earnhardt in the second race of the season, and in just his third race, winning at Atlanta. He's been nothing short of phenomenal in this ride this season.
We had several rookies that have been good this year. The bestest rookies, Kevin Harvick has won. Kurt Busch has a third place. Casey Atwood 12th. A lot of talent out there this year. Today they're running. Harvick is leading the race. Busch is back in 24th. Leffler 30th. Atwood 36th. Hornaday is in the garage area, and Houston in the garage area.
And that number right there, that right-hand column, is a great example of how extraordinary he's been. This has been a tough track on rookies, except for Kevin Harvick. He's leading the race. To pit road and Marty Snyder.
It's been a terrific day for Kevin Harvick, Alan, but they have a slight problem. Now, most all these cars can make it on one more stop to finish the race. Kevin is a little iffy. What they had last time when they came in is the O-ring on the dry brake stuck. So when Kevin was out making pace laps, he was slinging fuel everywhere, losing fuel. They think they lost about 3 or 4 gallons. So they're going to be close on whether or not they can make it on one more stop. Now the strategy, they're considering 4 tires on the next stop and possibly no tires on the last stop. Let's go back upstairs to Alan.
Continuing to clean up, put some oil dry down, now blow it back off the surface. So let's take a break and come back for the restart in a minute. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. What about it, BP?
I'll go for that.
I bet you would. I could too.
He'll have to pay because Benny never pays.
I'd like to say that's true, but I can't, actually. He's pretty good at giving up the money on the golf course.
Oh, come on.
That hurts.
Next weekend, it's off to New England for New Hampshire International Speedway's Bud Pole qualifying, 2 Eastern Time Friday at CNN Sports Illustrated. Saturday, final practice at 4 Eastern, and Saturday night, the Busch Series race from St. Louis, both on TNT, and then Sunday, the New England 300 from the Magic Mile. See it on TNT at 1:30 Eastern Time, the race for the championship on NBC and TNT. Still under caution at Chicagoland. To pit road and Dave Burns.
Alan, Jeremy Mayfield is having motor issues. He has some misses that they can't trace. They think it's electrical, and when that's the case, you look at a lot of different things. Right now, the voltmeter is down to 0. Jeremy says it's probably, or actually they've been working between him and Tim Harris, the motor guy. It's probably not the ignition box, not the coil, but it's probably the alternator. And the bad thing about that is you've got to get on the motor and get belts off to put this on. With the others, you can replace the entire unit. So right now, as they deal with their electrical situation, it's probably the worst case scenario.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. on pit road. Not many lead lap cars have stopped under these caution laps. Ken Schrader's been in, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Hamilton, and now Dale Jr.
But you see that opening, that spot on the very bottom? He has a little bit of air going in the bottom grill. Now, why is Jr. still sitting there? Dave, why is he still sitting there?
Well, apparently they went and closed up the shocks a bit. They were working, remember, with that coil bind problem going into the turns. But I also have a feeling they took a look at the motor while they were in there, because that's been their ongoing issue with Junior as well.
But we see that opening on the bottom. Now, if Nadeau doesn't have that, that could be the reason for his overheating problem.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Benny. And it is a heating problem right now. Temperatures are up. The track temperature is probably hotter now than it's ever been. So.
And we've been under caution for some 6, almost 7 laps right now, too, at 50 miles an hour for Jerry. They are going to get the 1-to-go signal this time at the start-finish line. Let's take a look back at the field now and see how things stand as we come up on 250 miles.
How about Jeff Green back in 6th spot in that 30 car, started in 29th. Tony Stewart started 27th, he's 9th. Johnny Benson, Jeremy Mayfield. Look at all these guys. And Todd Bodine, our pole sitter, back in 15th.
Last car in the lead lap is Bobby Labonte in 22nd. Bobby Labonte was in 22nd. Check that, Elliott Sadler and Dale Jr. also. So 24th place is last on the lead lap. Ron Hornaday's just gone to the garage. Steve Park is out. Mike Skinner's out. Andy Houston is out. Skinner with a hard crash back at lap number 23 when he cut a right front tire and slammed the turn 1 wall. He was alert when taken from the race car, but he has been transported to a local hospital for further x-rays. They said he was knocked out for a time in the car.
See, now they're getting a little bit of air in the front of Nadeau's car, but just see how very, very small that opening was and how large that Junior's was. Tony might be better served to pull some of that tape off. You're talking about those pink things where you can just jerk a piece of tape off. The next stop, they might need to try that. I know they don't want to give up that downforce, but
I'm sure Maximum and Randy Dorton is saying, Tony, take some tape off the front of that thing.
If he took some tape off and gave up some of the downforce, would it make that much of a difference?
Yeah, it would. That tape makes a big difference on this front of these cars.
Green flag. Kevin Harvick with Ward Burton trying to get a lap back to his inside. Ward is in 25th in the Cat car.
Oh, Ward wants that lap back. He carries a 29 car in very wide, but Harvick would not back up. Took it in on the outside and
now the sandstorm where all the oil dry was. Ron Hornaday's car just officially reported out of the race with engine failure. Here's Spencer looking low on Nadeau for second. Not yet.
Jerry's trying to get by that 22 car, and he picks up a little bit of that aero push, and Jimmy's right there ready to pounce.
Ward Burton's car taking some of the air, the draft, the wake created by Ward Burton's car, punching a hole in the air, taking some of that air pressure off the nose of Jerry Nadeau's car.
I saw Spencer up high up at 3 and 4, and I thought maybe that he was going to be trying to pass on the outside, but he was trying to get his line better to come off turn 4 to try to get under the 25 car.
You know, most people that I talked with this morning seem to be of the opinion that as we got to the second half of this race, we would get a second racing groove and you'd be able to competitively race side by side. Seems like it's happening.
It's better. It's much better. We saw Ward Burton there. He went in turn 3 much faster than these cars were 20, 15, 20 laps ago even. But a lot faster than they were in the first lap.
Oh, Spencer, hang on.
That got Jimmy loose right there. And what happened was he got so close to the 22 car, took the air off his rear of his car, and he got loose.
And he's about to lose a spot to the 40 car, Sterling Marlin.
Third place.
And look at Spencer driving in on the outside.
Jimmy gave a little wave there saying, thank you, Sterling.
Third car in the picture, there's Buckshot Jones. He's a lap down in 25th.
This is the battle for third spot. Kevin Harvick the leader, Jerry Nadeau in second. See, those cars are about 100 yards apart.
Let's check out our top end speeds in turn 1. Look at that, 193 miles an hour right as they crest into the corner.
And Ward Burton was the fastest that time.
And that's after they're already off the gas too.
Check it out this time and see what it tells us.
Red line on the racetrack is where the speed trap is located.
Jimmy Spencer 194 miles per hour. Nadeau 193.
And that's the turn-in speed. They're already off the gas for a couple of seconds before they get in there. They even do they touch the brake here?
They probably are touching the brake just a little bit, just to set the nose, to get the front of the car down on the racetrack.
One more look at it.
Jimmy Spencer once again, 193 miles per hour.
There's Jeff Burton popping up in the speed trap. Burton's running in 7th spot.
You never see Jarrett, Gordon, and Burton.
Jarrett and Gordon haven't been able to get away from each other all day.
I'll tell you what, this battle for the championship that we'll carry for the rest of the year, it looks like it really is between these two cars and Ricky Rudd.
Bobby Labonte smoking. You'll see these two cars overtake him on the backstretch. Labonte's off the pace. Looks like it's going to give up the ghost. There he is. Boy, it's not been the kind of championship defense that Bobby Labonte was expecting. And Kevin LePage has also taken his car to the garage.
22 knows about it.
That was Bob Jeffrey, the spotter for Dale Jarrett, saying the 22 knows about it. I guess that means he's going to drift up and let Jarrett go.
Bobby probably has gone down and talked to Ward Burton's spotter and said, okay, you're not going to get your lap back from Harvick. How about getting out of our way?
Clear high. I've already talked to the 44 up there.
See the championship leaders and their day. The third player in the title picture, Ricky Rudd, is back in 12th spot. So he's moved up a little bit. He was 18th last we checked on him. Now that Jarrett has gotten by Ward, you would expect that he'll let Gordon go also. Kevin Harvick, Jerry Nadeau, Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, they're the first 4. Then this race for 5th position with Jarrett, Gordon, Jeff Burton. Then you've got Jeff Green in 8th, Tony Stewart 9th, and Joe Nemechek 10th. Ricky Rudd just took 11th from Jeremy Mayfield. We're just past 250 miles. Leaders all stopped at lap 138 as we look at our onboard telemetry.
On board with Dale Jarrett as he goes down the front stretch, 197 miles per hour. Off the gas just a little bit. Back on it, full throttle as he exits turn 2.
Laps to go. 93.
Once again, the green dot on the very right of your screen. That's his location on the speedway in turn 3. Comes off turn 4 to the start-finish line. Dips that car down to the white line.
Let's go hear from the most recent retiree from the race. He's with Dave Burns.
He's also the most recent Winston Cup champion. Bobby, not a good day for you. Obviously a motor problem, right?
Yeah, right before that caution flag, I let off when the yellow came out, and it sounded like it missed right there at the moment, but I thought, well, maybe just because I let off the gas pretty quick or something. And it appears that it broke something in the top end like it did early in the year. So, you know, it's the way it goes sometimes. Part of racing.
How is this track driving right now? Is there any second groove at all?
Not really. Every now and then you could create one when you slide up in it, but you don't want to be there very much. And our car was working really good before we changed tires. Then we had a little bit of push, and I said, well, you know, we'll work it in later. We'll get back into it, you know. And before we did that, I mean, it was the Interstate Batteries Pontiac was doing pretty good. We were running, I guess, in the top 10, and the car was really cutting good up off the corner and passing guys there. So, but it don't matter now. Okay.
Bobby Labonte had been on a pretty good run lately. Top 10 finishes in 5 of the last 7 races, and his worst finish in that period was a 13th. Not going to be that way today. He's going to be down 39th at the checkered flag of the Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland. Log on to NASCAR.com to play the AutoTrader.com Move of the Race sweepstakes for your chance to win a $25,000 shopping spree on AutoTrader.com and other great prizes. Tropicana 400 at the Chicagoland Speedway. 182 of 267 laps complete, 85 to go. You're looking at the leader, Kevin Harvick. Harvick has been out in front since getting a lead on pit stops at lap 138. He leads Jerry Nadeau by 1.1 seconds, with Jimmy Spencer, Sterling Marlin, and Dale Jarrett rounding out the top 5. Jeff Green is having an excellent race, driving Richard Childress Racing's AOL car. He's in 8th position.
And they announced yesterday morning that Jeff Green would be driving this car next year and the year after and the year after that. So he is now a member of the NASCAR, will be next year a member of the NASCAR Winston Cup division.
Jeff Green in just his 3rd Winston Cup start this season, and Bill Weber can tell us more.
You know, Alan, you watch during these races to find that one car that seems like it's just out there making smooth laps, not really making a lot of noise. But Jeff Green has had an outstanding run, as you talked about. They've made very few changes to that car throughout the race. In fact, the only major change they made was when he stopped last time. They put a spring rubber in the right rear because it was too tight, and the car has actually gotten better. So Jeff Green with an impressive run here in Chicago.
Jeff Green was last year's NASCAR Busch Series champion. He won the title by the largest margin in series history, over 600 points. That means he could not even have run the last 3 races of the year, and he'd still... Oh, Jerry Nadeau.
Uh-oh. That is telltale smoke. It looks like that the engine has cooked.
Caution's out. Trouble in turn 2. Buckshot Jones is in the wall. Traffic scattering around Jones. He's hit it hard.
That's what we talked about earlier. First of all, on the tape issue, if you can get away with it, you're going to be quick all day. But you just got to get away with it.
Caution for Buckshot Jones, hitting the wall, turns 1 and 2.
And you see that? Sorry.
Flagman's face.
That's the flagman. There you go, buddy. That's the roof flap. When the car spins around, that's something that jumps up and tries to sit the car back down on the earth so it doesn't.
Timing is everything.
Doesn't fly. Timing is everything. But I'm sure that the flagman appreciated me circling his head.
See Buckshot talking to the safety workers.
It looks like the entire lick was on the left side of the car.
Yeah, it spun around backwards and slapped the wall, it looks like. So Jerry Nadeau with his problems as the caution comes out for Buckshot Jones. And the Hendrick team will get a chance to have a look. See if they can fix it under this caution. Here come the leaders around to pit road. Let's take a look upper right of the screen.
By himself, he just gets in the corner and it spun so quickly. We've seen all the cars back in the fence, but this one spun so quickly that he got it with the left side. Look at all this. It's feeding time at the zoo.
80 laps to go to Matt.
Well, they're going to jack up to 25 to see if they can look underneath and see what exactly, if something is leaking from the race car or not. There is some dust and speedy dry on the back fascia. To Bill.
Jimmy Spencer has a great pit stall, easy in, easy out, 4 sticker tires. What do you think the first question would be to Jimmy Spencer in victory lane? Think about it, Marty.
Kevin Harvick is in. Let's see what the first question would be to him in victory lane. 4 tires, no adjustments. All he wanted was a bottle of water. They are very, very good. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
They were going to try to leave and go back out so they would not lose a lap. The NASCAR officials would not let them. They're making them raise the hood. The 25 car is still in the stall here. They are looking underneath the hood to see if something is loose. They were hoping to leave so they would not lose a lap, but the NASCAR officials would not let them. They're telling them now to shut the engine off. Boy, a tough, heartbreaking break for Jerry Nadeau.
They gambled on the extra tape on the nose for the added downforce for handling and performance, but it looks like they've cooked the engine in the process. Continuing to work on Jerry Nadeau's car, continuing to work with Buckshot Jones out in turn number 2. We're under caution with 80 laps to go at Chicagoland. Back at Chicagoland Speedway, the Tropicana 400 under caution for the 6th time. It came out at lap 187 when Buckshot Jones crashed hard in turns 1 and 2. looking ahead from Tony Stewart.
Buckshot looks like he just gets in the corner. Car gets a little bit loose, and around he goes, and he just snapped around and hits with the left side. And there we see Buckshot on the stretcher being put in the ambulance.
And we'll get you an update on his condition as soon as we have any information available. Cleanup continues at Chicagoland Speedway. We're back in a minute.
Now, inside short.
Back at the Chicagoland Speedway, the Tropicana 400 under caution with 76 laps to go after Buckshot Jones crashed in turns 1 and 2. We will update his condition as soon as it is available to us. Joe Nemechek came out of the round of pit stops with the lead. Just right side tires. Got out ahead of Kevin Harvick. Jimmy Spencer's third, Sterling Marlin is fourth, and Jeff Gordon is fifth. Now, earlier in the race at lap 23, Mike Skinner was involved in a hard crash also down in turns 1 and 2. He was taken to a hospital for observation, and Marty Snyder can give us an update on Skinner's condition.
Yeah, a little good news, a little bad news for Mike Skinner. The CAT scan was negative on him, but he has a possible fractured left ankle. If it is a fracture, it's very slight, but they don't think it is fracture. He's going to go home, and they're going to take further x-rays on his left ankle, but they do expect to release him in about 45 minutes, and he will fly back home to Florida. Mike Skinner is okay. He was actually walking on the left ankle, so they don't think it's broken, and if it is, it's a very slight fracture, but all in all, pretty good news on Mike Skinner.
Yeah, that is.
I wonder if my pal will play golf with me now. I think I might be able to beat him.
I don't think he'll be playing down Spruce Creek come tomorrow morning.
Got the blowers out on the track. Cleanup continues. We're back to Chicagoland in just a minute.
NBC's coverage of the Tropicana 400 is brought to you by Original Coors. Nothing beats an original. By the Home Depot, the official home improvement warehouse of NASCAR. By Pep Boys, all you need to know is where to go. Pep Boys. And by Tropicana Pure Premium. Satisfy a deeper thirst.
Looking down on Chicagoland Speedway, where the Tropicana 400 is playing to a sold-out crowd, 75,000 seats, 37 luxury suites, and they're all full for the inaugural NASCAR Winston Cup Series race here. We're under caution for the 6th time in the race when Buckshot Jones crashed a moment ago in turns 1 and 2. Ricky Rudd was not far behind him when Jones crashed. He did a great job of dodging him and not making the situation worse. Let's take a listen.
With a little help from Rick Cordell, his spotter.
Watch ball, wreck in front of you. Caution coming out, coming back across, coming across. Clear.
That's what the spotters, that's what his purpose was for originally, to try to avoid the driver to avoid an accident. Now they use him for everything.
And he did a good job, because if you could see when the car first spun and it was going to the wall, from a driver's perspective, all you can see is smoke. So you don't know if that car's staying up high or low. So the spotter told him what the car was doing so Ricky could react.
Jerry Nadeau was on pit road for some time with work being done on his car. He's now back on the track in 35th position, Matt.
And Randy Dorton, the head engine builder at Hendrick Motorsports, is holding the problem for Jerry Nadeau. Go ahead and talk about it, Randy. What was the problem? A hole in the oil line?
Well, this is one of the oil lines that connects the two coolers on each side of the ductwork. So whether it's got up against something, rubbed a hole in it, or something's come up and nicked it, we don't know what that is, but this is the reason for the smoke.
And how long do you think that was happening?
It's hard to say. I mean, you know, till you really get under there and study the car, if something could have flown up and hit it, well, it just happened immediately, but that's kind of what it looks like happened.
The end result is still the same. It won't be a victory today for Jerry Nadeau.
Looks like we were a little too quick to condemn Tony for the tape on the grill, because it did not cook the engine. The oil came out of a broken oil line. So, Tony, I apologize.
Now we're getting ready for the restart. A handful of cars just came down pit road and topped off the fuel. Elliott Sadler, Todd Bodine, Robert Presley, Bobby Hamilton, Ricky Craven, Casey Atwood, Dave Blaney, Jeremy Mayfield, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Lead lap runners, a number of them stopping. That sets them with a full tank of fuel and 73 laps to go. No caution from here to the finish. This could become an economy run.
That's an awfully long ways to run on a tank of fuel.
These other guys that didn't stop, they've been out under the yellow flag for a long time. Will one of them try and stretch the fuel to the finish? Remember, Joe Nemechek only got 2 tires on his pit stop. He's the leader. Kevin Harvick got 4 fresh tires. He's behind him. Ken Schrader's the lap car, the yellow machine to the inside. And Schrader racing for 22nd position. The first car's a lap down. Spencer's in third, the 26. John Andretti's not on the lead lap in the 43.
Spencer just cannot clear himself off that traffic. In the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, look how fast he is as he just closes up on the back bumper of Nemechek.
Nemechek's left side tires have almost 60 laps on him. Got a spin in turn 4. Todd Bodine. Don't think he hit anything. But caution.
All around. Go straight, go straight. Watch that 7, watch the 7.
The dust, I believe, is one reason that NASCAR threw the caution flag, because as the drivers come back around and see that dust, it would scare them a little bit. So I think NASCAR wisely threw the caution flag. There's the dust that I was talking about.
Watch Ward Burton try to get a lap back from Joe Nemechek. Not going to do it. These extra laps we're going to get under caution now really are going to make the fuel mileage situation ticklish.
And there we see the 66 gets in the corner, and there's that evil stuff
right there.
It doesn't take so much.
And it looks like he stands on the gas. That's a good move. Now you got to get back on the brakes.
Ride him, Cowboy.
Yeah, he's riding it out.
And there's that cloud of dust.
See how dirty it is up there? When you get up high, all that dirt and stuff up there, that's slick when you get up there with one of these race cars.
And almost every caution flag, NASCAR puts a jet blower on the speedway to blow that stuff off.
That's pretty cool, really.
It was pretty cool. You know, by nailing the gas up there, he almost drove it down into the inside wall head on.
Drivers have a nickname for that. Call it the slide for life. Todd Bodine gets away with it. He's on the lead lap in 22nd position. No doubt he'll come to pit road and get 4 fresh tires. Last caution was brought out for a crash involving Buckshot Jones, and Dave Burns can update us on Buckshot's condition. Dave?
Yeah, Buckshot is still in the infield care center. They're going to keep him there and hydrate him. He's awake and alert, which means he's okay. He does have some left knee pain, but that's about it for Buckshot.
Fantastic. What great news.
Pit stops under the caution. Some of the lead lap cars are in topping off the fuel.
That means that they're going to try to make it the rest of the way. Mark Martin, just fuel only. Get it just as full as they possibly can.
Kurt Busch, Johnny Benson, Dave Blaney, Ricky Craven, and Robert Presley are in for fuel. And Todd Bodine, like I said a minute ago, going to get 4 fresh tires. Bill? Bill Weber.
It's just 4 tires, like you were saying, Alan. They're going to pull the fender out and they top it off with fuel. You know, this is very interesting. These guys coming down and getting fuel. You get a few caution laps here, you could see some very interesting things play out. Obviously, Todd's one of those guys. He's got the best tires now. He's got fuel, but Mark Martin and the others that just came down pit road, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Bill, what are you hearing from the crew chiefs down at your end of the pit lane? Anybody think they're good to go to the finish on fuel?
The 6 may be right now, Alan, but the rest of the guys all said that there was no way they would be able to make it. In fact, they were talking on the radio when this caution just came out. This is a quickie yellow. Everybody could have pitted the first time around, but they basically stayed out because they don't believe they can make it from here. So certainly they couldn't make it from a few laps earlier. So it's going to be a gas and go for a lot of guys at the end if we stay green. Otherwise, if there's a caution, you know, between here and there, all that strategy's out the window. But these guys that came in and topped off now, you get some of those caution laps, Alan. You know how that works. You're out there riding around, saving fuel, hoping you can, you know, pull an Elliott Sadler or something like that.
I'd be surprised to see I think Mark will come in when they show the one to go. I think a lot of these cars are going to come back in when they say one to go to top it off a little bit.
Well, Matt Kenseth, who just pitted a moment ago, is back in the pits to get that extra special splash of gasoline to try to make this to the end of the race. He's on the lead lap, giving up track position for about, what, half gallon of fuel?
Yeah, we are on the one to go now. So the guys that came in are Kenseth, Stacy Compton, Ken Schrader, Hut Strickland, let's see, Casey Atwood, Jerry Nadeau, though he's lost a bunch of laps, Ricky Craven, and Robert Presley. Race summary for you. Inaugural races at tracks sometimes have what we call yellow fever. The caution flag waving a lot. We've had that today. 7 cautions for 41 laps.
Good restart. Andy, we're entering 3 now.
67 laps to go right now. That is an even 100 miles. Who has fuel to the finish? Joe Nemechek with the older left side tires was trying to hold off Kevin Harvick when the caution came out. Let's get back at it and see how this all turns out.
This is Ward Burton's best chance to get a lap back in a long, long time, because he's got a car up there with used tires, and he might be a little bit faster, but he could make it up alongside the 33.
Cars on the lead lap. Sterling Marlin in 4th, Jeff Gordon in 5th. Jeff Gordon, yep, 6th.
6 spots.
Jason Leffler in the 01 is in 25th, a lap down. Had that one long green flag stretch in the middle of the race where we went through the one set of green flag pit stops that caught all these guys a lap down. Tony Stewart and Rusty Wallace racing for 7th and 8th. Stewart in the orange car.
Brett Bodine goes on the inside of Michael Waltrip. Here's Rusty Wallace if he watches this. And Michael very, very high.
Think his heart skipped a beat there?
Oh, Rusty gets a good run, but not quite enough to get alongside Tony Stewart.
Stacy Compton just got up into the evil stuff in turn 4, but kept it off the wall. Kevin Harvick starting to put a lot of pressure on Joe Nemechek for the race lead. Here he comes off of turn 4.
Looking inside, Joe. He's got a fender on you. He's there. Clear after the 29.
That was good. I mean, you know, Joe knew he was coming and just cracked the throttle a little bit, let Harvick go, get back in line, and he really didn't lose much on 3rd place.
Get your rhythm. Just you and the 29.
But he did Jimmy Spencer a favor because he held Kevin Harvick up, I don't know, maybe a second or two while Spencer got rid of the traffic. And now if Spencer has anything, if he has a fast race car, we'll see if he can chase down Kevin Harvick.
But he's still got to get by Joe.
Right now Spencer's about a second and a quarter behind Harvick. But you're right, he's got to get by Joe Nemechek first.
CR Williams Energy race chase. Kevin Harvick, Joe Nemechek in the real-time telemetry.
Watch Harvick down in the corner. 194. Nemechek also 194. These left sides on Nemechek have about 60 laps on them, and he's got to run another 60 laps. Front stretch, the fastest part of the speedway. That time, Kevin Harvick's average speed was 178.9 miles per hour. That's the fastest lap I've seen the last 2 days. Spencer was 177.8. Nemechek was 176.7.
Let's drop back to the race for fourth. Sterling Marlin, Jeff Gordon, and Jeff Burton. It's the first time all day I haven't seen Dale Jarrett right alongside Jeff Gordon. DJ lost some ground on that last set of pit stops. He's back in the 11th spot. He went in 5th, came out 10th on the pit stops, and he's lost the position since.
Gordon takes that spot away from Sterling Marlin. Here comes Jeff Burton. So in one half lap, the 40 car loses 2 spots.
Inside the final 100 miles of the Tropicana 400 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series at the Chicagoland Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. "54 laps to go in the Tropicana 400 at the Chicagoland Speedway. Kevin Harvick is out in front, but does he have enough fuel to make it to the finish? Moment ago, coming back to the caution flag, Joe Nemechek was leading. Ward Burton in the Cat car, gold and black machine, was trying to get a lap back from him.
Well, 29 car, all those cars backed off to let Ward Burton and a couple other cars get their lap back, John Andretti, but the 33 car did not back off. And Ward Burton didn't like that too much. Went up and said, hey, man, why don't you back off? Let me have my lap back.
And that really, I mean, you know, we have a gentleman's agreement out there with each other. And really, you know, I can see Ward's frustration there. He's been trying real hard to get that lap back. I can see why he'd be mad.
You can see why he'd be mad, but Joe Nemechek is under no obligation.
Absolutely. Yeah, Joe didn't do anything wrong there, but the tables could be turned somewhere down the line. And when Joe needs to get his lap back, Ward probably is not going to let it happen.
And that's one way that racing really varies from 25 years ago, because 25 years ago you gave nobody a lap back.
Pit road, Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, one of the guys trying to stretch it all the way is Elliott Sadler. He's in 16th. Pat Tryson is his crew chief. And Pat, can you make it all the way? You stopped with 73 to go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can go all the way, but I think there's about 4 or 5 others that go all the way now. They topped off a couple laps after us. But we'll see what happens. We're going to try to win it. Hopefully it stays green.
They can go all the way. The caution laps did help. They were close before, but those last caution laps we had just made the deal for them. Let's go to Bill Weber.
With Mark Martin's crew chief, Jimmy Fennig, can you make it to the end?
Yeah, we're going to be close, but we'll be good. You know, Jack's been working hard on fuel mileage, but everything looks good right now.
Just a few laps ago, Mark Martin called in and said, we're not coming in, right? And Jimmy said, that's right, we're going all the way. Mark Martin hasn't been to victory lane since April of last year at Martinsville. He hasn't had back-to-back top 5 finishes in a year. In fact, 1 year ago this week, top 5 at Daytona, followed by a top 5 at Loudon. They're going to try and do it on fuel mileage.
Third place, Jeff Gordon has caught Joe Nemechek.
Right now, Nemechek is battling those worn tires. He has great track position, but the tire's just not getting as much grip as Jeff Gordon's. Check our speed down the backstretch. And you can see the car's about the same speed, 192 for both cars. As they come through the corner and hit the straightaway, these speeds will start accelerating. Down to turn 1, the fastest point of the racetrack. 192, 193 miles per hour in 1.
Got to chase it up the hill there.
See how, you know, Jeff really ran him down pretty quick. But then get to the arrow push. And you get behind that car, and it's hard to cut underneath the guy getting off the corner. That's what Jeff's struggling with right now.
You know, I hate that term. I just hate it, because and I've heard you say this before, BP. You don't want to steal your line, but arrow push translated to English means
poor racing.
Poor racing. Hard to get by a guy when you catch him, even if you got a faster car.
Oh, Nemechek really drove it down in the corner that time so hard. As a matter of fact, he drove it so hard he couldn't keep it down.
And that's when you're looking up in the mirror and you got a guy on your tail and you're going, man, I got to bring this thing in a little bit deeper, and that's what happens. You overdrive the car a little bit, you make a little bit of mistake, and a guy like Jeff Gordon is going to capitalize on that.
While you're watching Gordon move up to third, Kevin Harvick has moved away from him by 4.7 seconds. Harvick also well in front of Jimmy Spencer. He's got about 1.7 seconds on Spencer. Meantime, as far as the championship picture is concerned, Ricky Rudd is 8th, Dale Jarrett is 9th. And we drop back to get a look at Rudd. He's trying to get 7th spot away from Rusty Wallace, and here he comes.
Man.
Low. Looking low.
That was a great run that Ricky Rudd got off turn 4, but he was not able to capitalize because Rusty Wallace, with that great Larry Wallace power, just nailed the accelerator.
Outside by half.
And drove away.
Clear.
Rusty having to get around the Ward Burton lap car. That's Earl Barman, Rusty's spotter. Let's talk about this fuel thing for a minute. Oh, the farthest up.
I was watching that too, Alan. That was almost a crash as they were 3 wide for just a second at the start-finish line.
Starting to say the farthest up anyone who's topped the fuel off is Mark Martin, and he's just taken 13th place away from Jeremy Mayfield.
And I talked to Mark Martin this morning at length in the garage area, and I tell you what, that young man was so frustrated by the last 3 days he just almost couldn't stand it. Thursday, he said his car was perfect. Friday was junk. Saturday was junk. See, he said, we did something today for this setup that I've never done before in my life. We have a lot of split in the rear springs. He said, I'm just going to go crazy and see if we can't get this thing to get around the racetrack.
43 to go. Kevin Harvick leads the Tropicana 400. Our Pepsi race recap. It has been a rough and rugged Tropicana 400 for some. Lap 23, hard crash for Mike Skinner after a cut right front tire. He's been taken to the hospital, a possible broken ankle. Steve Park's engine let go at lap 137. He's out of the race. Lap 186, ahead, Buckshot Jones loses control, slaps the outside wall with the driver's side of his car. He is reported to be doing okay in the infield medical center. Then Todd Bodine, after losing a lap, getting it back, has a spin off of turn 4. He still stayed on the lead lap after doing a great job of driving to not hit anything. And now we're under caution once again at lap 229. Debris off, most likely Jeff Burton's car.
Looked like he lost the tread on the right front tire. This is on board with Jeff Burton. He made an unscheduled pit stop just before this caution flag came out, and it appeared to have a lot of damage to the right front tire.
So here they come to the opening of pit road. Who pits? Who doesn't? Who does what? Do you take tires? Don't you? Quick guesses. What do you think?
I think they're going to be coming in for fuel.
Everybody?
Yeah.
How about Mark Martin?
But a lot of cars will change 2 tires only, trying to get that track position. Bill Weber, what are they going to do?
Well, we have 2 stories down here. It looks like Spencer could be going fuel only. Jeff Gordon expected to take 2 tires. His car's been a little tight. Spencer will hit first. They need 4 seconds to fuel. 1 pit stall in front of him is the 24 car. Spencer's on his way with his fuel. Gordon getting right side tires. They do make a track bar adjustment. Marty.
Kevin Harvick is in. They only need 6 seconds of fuel. They took no tires. He was very good on that last run, but Jimmy Spencer beat him off pit road.
Tony's going to run in the back of Dale Jarrett because these cars have to stop and let all the cars that stayed on the racetrack go by before they can get back on the speedway.
But you still have to race to the line. So everybody was jammed up there, and they were still trying to beat the guy out beside him or behind him to the line.
I don't think I want that job of holding that stop-and-go pedal. Certainly not in that situation. Matt Yoakum.
Joe Nemechek playing strategy that he found out in yesterday's Busch race when they only took on left side tires. That's the same thing they did on their final stop. Remember, they had over 80 laps on their left side tires. This is a play in strategy. Joe said it helped his race car yesterday. That's why he was so strong near the end. They're hoping it'll do the same thing again today.
I count 5, well, let me double check, maybe 6 lead lap cars did not pit here. Mark Martin stayed on the racetrack. Matt Kenseth has stayed out on the racetrack. Robert Presley has not come down pit road. Kurt Busch has stayed out on the racetrack. So those 4 cars are not pitting under this caution. Dave?
And unfortunately, Jeff Burton, who was running 5th at the time, got caught with that tire going down, and when the caution came out, they came in, they changed the right side tires. Now they're going to go back over the wall. They told the gas men, don't go over, because we've got extra men working on the right front, including crew chief Frankie Stoddard. He says he's got the right front done. Jackman is down, and Jeff is down and out of here. Jeff, while he was coming in, kept telling the guys, I still have brakes, I still have brakes. When that tire went loose, it did not damage the brake lines, which is always a concern.
But he's a lap down, right?
He is a lap down, yes.
Yeah, Jeff's back in 28th position and is 1 lap down to race leader Mark Martin, who now comes to the fore. We thought it might happen under green flag pit stops if we got into an economy run at the end. Now Mark is going to stay on the racetrack for position, and he takes over the lead. Matt Kenseth moves to 2nd, Kurt Busch to 3rd, Robert Presley to 4th, then Spencer and Harvick. 37 laps to go in Chicagoland.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I know what I'm doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Watch my import. I'm going in. Go get a Wildcat. What are you doing?
$150 million Chicagoland Speedway, where the Tropicana 400 before a packed house of 75,000 is down to its final 35 laps. There is drama being played out on pit road as strategies employed by different crews have set up what could be a dramatic finish. First next weekend, Bud Pole qualifying from New Hampshire Friday at 2 Eastern Time, Saturday final practice, and the NASCAR Busch Series race from St. Louis, both on TNT. Then a week from today, the New England 300 on TNT at 1:30 Eastern Time. Let's check on some of those pit road twists and turns. Bill Weber.
Well, Robbie Loomis is about to call the green flag for Jeff Gordon up here on top of the crash cart, so he's going to watch these cars come through 3 and 4. This crew right now very confident about their ability to get back to the front. They've made some changes because the car has been a little tight, but now we're going to see if Gordon can weave his way through traffic and catch some of those guys that didn't stop. This is the best vantage point for Robbie to see the green flag. They're almost directly across from the starter stand. We'll call the green flag for Gordon as they go back to racing.
Gordon running in 8th position, Bill Elliott in front of him in 7th, then Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Spencer in 6th and 5th. They've been the dominant drivers. They're caught back in traffic.
Go, Jeff, go, go, go.
I don't understand why Jimmy Spencer was not right up on the back bumper of Robert Presley.
He had a problem with the restart earlier, I noticed, too. He lost a lot of ground. I don't know if he's having trouble getting up to speed with that car. But he has gotten hurt on restarts.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
Alan, I just spoke with Ryan Pemberton, the crew chief for Robert Presley, and they are right on schedule. They stayed out. They last pitted on lap 199 as he dices with Jason Leffler. They came in on lap 199 and topped off with fuel. And Ryan says that's pretty close. They think they can make it. Actually, they know they can make it. These caution laps really helped. But the car is not handling ideal. What they do have, though, going in their favor is track position. And so staying out, he went from 22nd and the last fuel run to a 4th place running position now.
Yeah, he's up to 2nd now.
Up to 2nd, yeah.
Yeah. Presley by Matt Kenseth, by Kurt Busch. He's running in 2nd. Behind him, Kevin Harvick getting a little antsy. White car, bottom of the screen. He took it all the way onto the apron at the start-finish line to get by a couple of lap cars.
Robert's looking in the mirror at all his friends. Kevin's looking out of the windshield at all his enemies. Want to get past those lap guys so you can get a clean racetrack to run down the guy in front of you.
Harvick has gotten by Jimmy Spencer. Remember, Spencer beat him off pit road the last time they stopped. Harvick's by him. Now here comes Gordon up to challenge Spencer. That's going to be for 6th.
Watch all these cars. Jeremy Mayfield is very slow. He's still on the speedway, but has slowed down considerably.
And in fact, NASCAR has just asked the team to bring the car in. He's not meeting the minimum speed.
I tell you what, Mark Martin might be looking pretty good if these cars up here will hold the 29 car up a little bit. If Kurt Busch, Robert Presley, if they make it difficult for the 29 car to get by, maybe, just maybe, Mark will be okay.
Third spot, Harvick pressing Kurt Busch.
Didn't have any trouble there, did he?
While you were saying and thinking how good Martin was looking, I was thinking how good Harvick was looking. He's had the best car all day, and I know, yeah, okay, I said it now after he made the pass, but he's had the best car all day, and he's got plenty of time. He's got 29 laps to go.
Oh, he's got a lot of time to get by.
Marty?
And remember, earlier in the race, Kevin Harvick told Richard Childress we're better in traffic than anyone. Richard Childress on the radio right now preaching patience. Question is, does the rookie have enough patience to win this race? He clearly has the best car.
Second place. Elena looking on. It's Kevin's wife.
Man, oh man, these guys didn't even slow him down.
How busy is Kevin Harvick since he's gone to the double duty? They got married in Las Vegas on race weekend in Las Vegas. It's about the only time they could work it into the schedule.
That's terrible when you can't get time off, enough time off to get married. But you got to do it while you're working. You work during the day and do it at night.
0.8 of a second. Mark Martin to Kevin Harvick.
I won't go there, Benny. Sorry. Well, you open yourself up on that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're going to hear about that for a while.
Get married at night.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
We know what you meant. Right, Alan?
Yeah.
Mark Martin's looking back, but that white is getting closer and closer and closer.
Speeds at the line. Fastest car on the racetrack is the man chasing the leader.
That's a real shock, isn't it?
By a bunch.
He gained a half a second that lap on Mark. He was 0.8 behind. He was 0.3 behind. He's not anymore.
And I would be surprised if Mark even contests this with Harvick once he gets right up on him.
No, he just moves over and says, all right, Kevin, go ahead. There's nothing I can do about it.
That's a good thing about Mark, racing with Mark. I mean, Mark's one of the smoothest drivers out there, but if you're coming up on him quick and you've got a better car, he's going to give you plenty of room. And when he does that for you as a driver, you're going to return the favor.
Just hang with him, buddy. Nothing from behind. Just hang with that 29.
Mark Martin's communications.
That's right. Just hang with that 29. You'll be okay. Hey, if you keep up that 29, trust me, Mark, you'll be okay. Johnny
Benson's on pit road. Car sounding quite sour the last 7-8 laps of the race. Matter of fact, since we went back to green a minute ago. There's Benson. Pulling tape off the front. Maybe they've cooked the engine there, too. Behind Harvick and Martin, you've got Robert Presley, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth. So Roush has got cars. Jeff Green's off the pace. Caution is out. Got a spin on the back straightaway.
Looks like Todd again.
Todd Bodine. Ninth caution of the race.
And this is the only guy that's on the lead lap that can afford to stop. All the rest of them, you just can't give up track position. Right now we have 19 cars on the lead lap, so you cannot stop because you give up so much track position. If you can make it the rest of the way, you just got to hang out there.
If I'm one of these guys like Joe Nemechek, who's back in 14th, or Rusty Wallace, who's back in 16th, I've got nothing to lose by coming in and putting tires on.
I agree with you, Alan. If I'm sitting right now in 8th or 9th spot, I'm coming in for new tires.
Really?
Yes, I am.
I think it'd have to be 12th or worse to come in. I think the top 12 at least will stay on the speedway. We'll see how it shakes out.
We saw Jeff Green off the pace in the 30 car. Bill Weber, what happened?
It's pretty simple, Alan. Jeff just radioed in, blew up. Nothing we can do about it. Meet you in the garage. They told him, great run. We'll do it again sometime. Jeff Green finished for the afternoon. And just a brief note on some of these other guys. They're talking about how their speeds are getting quicker. They're longer. They're out there on these tires. So keep that in mind.
Well, Benny, it looks like nobody's coming in.
Yeah. Well, here comes Nemechek. Nemechek, who was running 14th.
And Elliott Sadler's coming in.
Other two guys are not on the lead lap that are following them down pit road. That would be, well, Todd Bodine is going to come in. Matt?
Joe Nemechek is going to make a 4-tire pit stop. Remember, the stop before, they only took on lefts. They are going to make a chassis adjustment to the 33 machine. Since they were 14th, they knew they were going to restart in the back, so they figured if you're going to be in the back, have 4 fresh tires to try to give it a shot. Marty.
Elliott Sadler is in. They've gambled a couple of times today. They are tight. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. They are going to take 4 tires, and why not? They were one of the last cars on the lead lap. As Alan said, really nothing to lose here for Elliott Sadler and his team.
And Todd Bodine getting 4 tires as well after the spin down the backstretch. 22 laps to go. Can anybody get up there and do anything with Kevin Harvick? It's our final commercial break. We're back for the finish of the Tropicana 400 in a minute. 21 laps to go in the Tropicana 400. NASCAR at the Chicagoland Speedway for the very first time, and the fans are getting treated to a somewhat halting finish at this point. A couple of cautions have slowed the progress, but boy, Kevin Harvick has managed to motor his way to the front. Here is the most recent caution. Todd Bodine spun just a minute ago. This is Todd up at the top of the frame.
Comes up the corner.
Evil.
Oh,
Elliott Sadler.
Elliott Sadler just barely missed it. There's that roof flap once again, flipping up to make sure that the 66 car stays on the earth. It does.
Todd started on the pole, but he's had kind of a tough day. That's his second spin. Field getting the 1 to go signal, half a lap from the restart. Let's hear more about our leader, Marty.
And it's been a spectacular day thus far for Kevin Hamlin, the crew chief for Kevin Harvick, and you've gotten the kid this far. Can he bring it the rest of the way home?
I think he's got himself this far, but you know, he had a really good car yesterday. Todd and them guys had the AC Delco car, and then the AOL car came here and tested for us and kind of gave us an idea which direction we wanted to go with the setup, so that's helped us out a bunch. And then you know, like after the first few laps on the track Thursday, I heard Kevin say, hey, this is my kind of place. So I knew we'd be in good shape, you know, when we come around to racing. But he's done a terrific job today. Hopefully we can just bring this thing home and get us a victory.
All right, we're ready to go back to green on the racetrack. We'll see if Kevin Harvick can pull off his second career win.
19 laps to go.
Martin is trying to keep Presley pinned down to the bottom of the racetrack. Presley was trying to get Mark up the racetrack, and they're still side by side.
Racing for second, mixed up with the lap cars.
Oh, Presley drives it in the corner. Can he keep it down there? He can. Takes over second spot.
Back in that whole jumble of cars, our championship players all running fairly close together on the track. Gordon in 6th, Jarrett in 8th, Rudd in 11th.
There goes Jimmy Spencer and Jeff Gordon side by side.
There's Gordon.
Jimmy's in a bad spot right now. He can't go anywhere because the 17 car, all these guys are piling underneath you.
Rear quarter, clear high, clear high.
Gordon getting 5th from Kenseth, going after Kurt Busch for 4th as we look out the back of Jeff Burton's car. Jarrett staying right with him, stride for stride.
Somebody got very close to the wall. Joe Nemechek is close to the wall. Up between 1 and 2.
Yeah, 10-4. Just got loose on me getting in. Still great.
There you have it.
Let's take another look at what happened to Joe Nemechek.
That's loose getting in. Oh! I wouldn't be so quick to say 10-4, would you, if you asked her if you were okay?
I was hoping nobody saw it.
Well, considering some of the other things that have happened to people when they've gotten up into that evil stuff today, he's probably okay. Kevin Harvick motoring away. He's led 97, now make it 98 laps today.
Oh, look at Ricky Rudd on the bottom, on the apron of the racetrack going by. The 40 car of Sterling Marlin and the 26 of Spencer.
Top 3 in points. Oh,
man,
three wide. contact. How'd they get away with that?
3 wide and a single groove racetrack.
There's Bill Elliott. Haven't called his name much all day. He's up there fighting on the lead lap as well. Riding with Bill. Elliott in 11th spot, chasing Sterling Marlin and Tony Stewart.
What that little whistle is in that 9 car.
Looking at Jeff Gordon and Dale Jarrett, as well as Ricky Rudd, top 3 in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship standings. Gordon and Jarrett, except for one small segment of the race, they have not gotten away from each other all day. And look at where they run. 4th, 5th, and 6th.
And Ricky Rudd has led 25 laps.
That's pretty early in the race. That was back lap 7 to lap 31. Has not been up front since. Point there being, he collects the bonus points for leading, and Jarrett and Gordon don't. At least not so far.
We've seen a lot of engine trouble here today. I think more engine trouble than you normally would see in a NASCAR Winston Cup race. And I think that the pace at this new speedway was faster than the teams were expecting. So I think they're turning the engine just a few too many RPMs. They felt like the pace would probably slow down a little bit. It hasn't. They just keep going the same speed.
Jeff Gordon has just lost a position to Dale Jarrett. He's in danger of losing another one to Ricky Rudd. Is something wrong with Gordon? Gordon is slowing down. Marty, what's happened?
Well, he came on the radio and said that he felt like the engine was going away, and he's obviously lost a lot of spots on the racetrack. This could be an engine problem for Jeff Gordon. We talked about how he hung with Dale Jarrett all day long. This could be very detrimental in the point standings, especially coming off the 37th place finish at Daytona.
Wow.
Wow.
11 laps to go, and Jeff Gordon starts falling off the pace. That's 8th spot he's going to lose to Matt Kenseth.
Lose a lot of spots right here.
But right now, there are 18 cars on the lead lap, so he'll go back to 18 before this thing is over.
Stewart's in trouble. Into the wall, turn 2. Traffic oncoming at him. He's going to get off the track. Caution's out.
40 car was right behind him. Couldn't tell how close he was behind him, but definitely got the 20 car loose.
Tony Stewart racing for 8th position. That's the inside wall on the backstretch she's up against. And we go under the caution with 9 laps to go.
See, Tony's already taking his helmet off.
Well, it will be a single file restart.
I'm sure he's not very happy either.
No, we could tell as he took his gloves off and the steering wheel off.
Let's have a look.
40 car gets right behind him. And a little touch.
Tony wobbled first.
Yep.
I think Tony
lifted.
I think Tony got just a little bit loose. Maybe eased up on the throttle just enough that the 40 car ran in the back of it.
Yep.
I don't think we can fault Sterling with that. He's right there, not expecting Tony to come out of the gas.
Yeah, no, but you're also. Oh, that angle really got into him. But you're right, he got out of the gas. But I think also on this point of the race, guys, when you're trying to get a position, you're trying to get that nose right on the guy's bumper to make him loose. So you will loosen him up, so he'll slide up the racetrack, and you can dive down underneath him. It just didn't work out, I think, the way Sterling had planned it.
Ken Schrader has a saying about situations like that. He says he took the air off his spoiler, then he hit him.
Let's listen.
Sounds like.
Just at the point that Tony should have been backing off, for the loose condition. If he did, was when we had the digital mix-up and we couldn't hear it. And there's the Home Depot car banged up behind the hook. Boy, that's a scene you hate to see. The wrecker pulling your car back in.
So Stewart goes from racing in the top 10 to probably finishing in 35th position. Bill Weber.
Well, now with Robbie Loomis, I know you're disappointed, Robbie. What happened to your car?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those situations. We lost the cylinder, it looks like. The engine shop's done a great job all year. You know, we got a lot to be thankful for. We just got to put it all together and come back next week.
Back-to-back tough weekends for you.
Yeah, it's tough, but you know, throughout a season, you're going to have them. You just got to take them and try to get ready for next week.
Okay, and next week we go to Loudon, and Jeff Gordon runs very well there. Let's go to Dave Burns.
And Ryan Pemberton, as the crew chief for Robert Presley, he stands by, I think, knowing you can make it on fuel, right?
Hold on one second.
Oh, and Robert's talking to him right now. He's got one to go now. Of course, he told him you can make it on fuel, right?
Yeah, I mean, unless we did something totally different here in the last few laps, running as hard as we have, used it a lot more gas, but we should be fine. The Jasper Penske engines have been great. The horsepower is great. The fuel mileage is great, and it probably got us a little bit of track position. It's put us in a position right here to maybe run for the win. So it's been a good day for us. It's been a good weekend. Qualified 13th. The car's been strong all weekend, and we're looking forward to the next few laps here.
And they were coaching him on the radio. They told him, we know you can't beat the 29, but you can beat the 6. You're better than him from the middle off, so just drive it in easy. To Marty Snyder.
Well, and Dave, you think with an experienced team like Richard Childress Racing and an inexperienced driver like Kevin Harvick, there'd be a lot of conversation going on right now. Actually, very little. Richard Childress just came on the radio, told Kevin that on that last run, the 77 was actually faster than you were. Kevin came back and joked. He said, I was just lifting in the corners more than I normally would. So they are very confident down here in this pits. They think they have the race won. They clearly have had the best car all day long, and they're confident in their young driver. He's going to bring it home and put it in victory lane.
If I'm Kevin Harvick on this restart, the most important thing is to restart. Get as much room as I can on the 77. If I'm Robert Presley, this has got to be the best restart I've ever had in my life, to try to get as close as I can to Harvick on this restart and rattle him a little bit. And that's what he's doing.
He's trying to get close.
And I don't think Robert thinks that he's the second best car right now. He's going to go for it.
Kevin Harvick driving the car that was Dale Earnhardt's until his accident at the Daytona 500 that took his life. Harvick jumped into this car at Rockingham under the worst of circumstances and has been nothing short of spectacular. In just his third Winston Cup start, he won a photo finish in Atlanta. The earliest a victory has ever been scored in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in years and years and years, if not the earliest ever. He has been in the top 10 in Winston Cup points all season long, despite having run one less race than everybody else. The first race of the year that Dale Earnhardt drove in this car. This whole team has picked up the pieces with a spectacular young driver and written an amazing story in this season. One that started incredibly sad, but has been extremely uplifting for them. The performance that Kevin Harvick has driven them to.
He has been phenomenal. There's no doubt about that. More than anyone would ever thought that this young man could do. We see the lights are out on the pace car, which means next time by. I think we're going to see the green the next time by.
It was supposed to come last time. They waved it off to pick up a final piece of debris. We're going to go green with 5 to go.
Now Mark's sitting there hoping that those two guys get together and he'll just drive right on through that mess.
All right, well, you talked
we've seen that before.
Yep.
You talked about Presley wanting to get right up on Harvick. Harvick wanting to get a good restart.
Right there. He's doing it, man. That's what he needs to do. Kevin's got the better race car, had all day, but he has got to have a great restart, and Robert knows that. Robert's not going to let him get away with a 3 or 4 car length restart.
And let's keep an eye on Jarrett, too, and Ricky Rudd with the Robert Yates horsepower back in 4th and 5th positions. 5 laps to go in the Tropicana 400. Green flag.
Green flag. Green flag.
What? Mark got a good restart.
And we see.
Oh, Martin's in trouble. Martin's in trouble. They scatter around him. Rudd goes under Jarrett for 3rd.
I don't know if Mark just missed a shift there, Benny. It had to be because he took off great.
Or maybe spun the rear tires.
All clear, man. Nice and easy getting in.
Robert Presley's best career finish was a 5th at Michigan a year ago.
And yesterday Saturday, folks, in the NASCAR Busch Series, we had a first-time winner. Jimmy Johnson won his first NASCAR Busch Series race ever. Could we see the same thing here in the NASCAR Winston Cup? Good. Presley, can he pull it off?
And Robert's car looks good down low. It's the same as Kevin's. Both those cars are right on the line. Now watch out for the sneaky guy in the third place.
Harvick got away from him there off turn 2.
Nice and easy.
Three laps to go.
Harvick is now putting a little distance on the 77 car, Presley. That time by, he was a mile per hour faster than Presley.
And this is what Kevin wants to see in his mirror, is a 28 and a 77, mixing it up these last few laps. That'll let him pull out a little bit further.
Correction, Presley's best career finish is a third place run at Texas. 1998.
Two to go. All clear.
Rudd keeps taking a look, but he can't get by Presley, and he's certainly running out of time to do anything with Harvick.
2.
Jimmy Spencer trying to catch Dale Jarrett for 4th. But they're coming to the white flag. Final lap of the Tropicana 400. Kevin Harvick a mile and a half from scoring his second NASCAR Winston Cup Series win.
If Harvick can just stay together for this last 1 mile, he will be the winner here this afternoon.
The 25-year-old from Bakersfield, California, will have led 113 of 267 laps today. He got away from Robert Presley on the final restart, and he's going to get win number 2. Kevin Harvick takes the inaugural Tropicana 400 at Chicagoland. Robert Presley gets a career best finish with a second-place run. Rudd gets 3rd, Dale Jarrett 4th, while Jeff Gordon is going to finish in 17th place. And the victory celebration is on for the Richard Childress Racing Team.
Kevin did a good job. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, getting a restart, having a car like that all day. That comes down to how you restart and you run the next 2 or 3 laps. Did a good job. My hat's off to Robert, too. Robert ran a great race.
Marty Snyder.
Well, the emotion is a little different this time, Alan. Much less sadness, but much happier faces down here. Great win for you guys, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin done a super job. I mean, he got out there and got the job done when we got 6th or 7th place back there.
Glad someone else was getting wet, not me and you.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
We did a good job there.
Yeah, it was a great job. I'm just glad it wasn't us.
I know. That was the best part about the day.
Kevin done a great job all day. The pit crew, everybody was on. These guys worked hard, and you know, it just feels great to win right now. You know, and Dale Jr.'s win last week helped all of us, helped everybody, and just so proud of him.
There's definitely closure down here for these guys. Bunch of happy faces. He led the most laps. He had the dominant car, and he brought it home to victory lane.
Kevin Harvick, 3 fingers out the window. The salute to Dale Earnhardt.
To do a burnout.
I'll tell you what, he's pretty good at that burnout stuff.
He's had some practice at it this year. A few wins in the NASCAR Busch Series, and now his second Winston Cup win. While we wait for Kevin to get to victory lane, let's take a look at the final results from the Tropicana 400. Harvick, Winston Cup win, number 2. Robert Presley, his career best finish. Look at the Roush cars in the top 10.
Rusty Walsh will finish in 13th. Jeff Gordon, as you said, back in 17th. Jason Leffler, the rookie, back in 24th spot.
Last car in the lead lap was Jeff Gordon in 17th. And
Stewart will finish 33rd.
Yep, these are all cars that were out of the race. So the championship standings will take a little bit of a shuffle here at Chicagoland as a result of the Tropicana 400. There's the winner's trophy, and here comes the winning car. Kevin Kevin Harvick is the winner, and Chevy congratulates Kevin and the number 29 Monte Carlo on a big win today. And he'll tell you the only thing that comes close to Monte Carlo's reputation on the track is its reputation on the street. Monte Carlo, more champions depend on Chevy. We'll be there.
Right away.
Let's go to victory lane.
Well, you can imagine the atmosphere down here. Kevin Harvick climbing out of his Goodwrench Chevrolet, and he will celebrate in big-time fashion. Well, congratulations. In Earnhardt-type fashion, a race you dominated.
I tell you what, these GM Goodwrench guys, they did a heck of a job in the pits. Kevin Hammond had great pit strategy. But I'll tell you who we owe this to. We owe this to Todd Berrier and Jeff Green and the AOL guys. This guy right here, they come up here and tested. And that's what we did both days. And those multiple car teams are paying off for us. I hope Mike Skinner's okay.
How about that last restart, Kevin?
Well, I mean, last restarts with under 10 to go are pretty nerve-wracking. But we got good ratios in this thing, and the motor shop done a heck of a job. So we got up to speed pretty good. This is awesome. I mean, this year's all for Dale Earnhardt, and winning races for him, and pretty special.
There's been a lot of pressure on you since you got in this car. Tremendous performance at Atlanta. How much does this one mean to you?
This means a lot. I mean, when you're stuck on your first win, and everybody says, well, he's a flash in the pan. Well, here's the second win, and we're going to keep going at it.
And you're the first winner in Chicago as well.
This is an awesome place. We run good here yesterday too, and it reminds me a lot of Texas, and we run good on the mile-and-a-half racetrack. So once Jerry Nadeau was out, it was a lot better.
Congratulations. The big reception's right behind you.
Thank you.
That's his wife. Kevin Harvick wins in Chicago. Holy cow, Dave.
Holy cow for Robert Presley as well. 186 career starts going into today. Still looking for that win, but pretty darn close today.
Yeah, we was real close. I mean, I really thank all them guys in Indiana, Jasper, Engine Transmission. We've had some good race cars the last couple years, but just never can finish out the day. This same car we had at Charlotte that we thought we had a good top three with, and got in the blowed motor there. But, you know, as long as we can stay out there and run and keep these cars like we are, we'll get us a win or some more top fives. I mean, this deal's tougher than anybody ever could imagine, and just being able to run there with Kevin, if we could have got under him, you know, we might have been all right.
Well, he drove by Mark Martin, then he held off Ricky Rudd. A great run for Robert Presley. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
And Jeff Gordon's second engine failure of the year is a big hit in the points, Jeff. Now you're tied with Dale Jarrett, but by virtue of second place finishes, he takes over the points lead.
Shoot, I'm just thrilled to be tied. Right now, I mean, with the little bit of trouble we've had here the last couple of weeks, you know, we've been outrunning them on the racetrack, but if you don't get there to the checkered flag, you know, it doesn't matter. And so, tough day because we fought hard today to get from way back in the field all the way up to the front. All we needed was a little bit better track position. We had one of the fastest cars out there, so real proud of these guys on the DuPont Chevrolet team. But, you know, we got to figure it out and make sure it doesn't happen anymore, you know. But going through a little bit of tough time right now, but, hey, going through a tough time and still be tied for the points lead, I'll take that.
Any consolation that next week we're going to New Hampshire, a place where you've had a lot of success in the past?
I tell you, we've been running great everywhere. I'm looking forward to going to every racetrack we go to right now. But right now I'm going to focus on our tests in Indianapolis coming up on Monday and Tuesday. And then we'll go get geared up, guys at the shop. I know they're working hard to get us ready for New Hampshire. And we're looking forward to it. We got to do something there. We got to make up a little bit of what ground we lost here.
Actually, in the tie-break system in NASCAR Winston Cup points, Jeff Gordon has the edge. Look at the numbers.
That's unbelievable.
Two of them identical, and Ricky Rudd only 18 behind. Both have 3 wins each, Gordon and Jarrett. Gordon has 4 second-place finishes, and Jarrett only has 1, so he has the tie-break and is officially the point leader at the halfway mark of the season. Rest of the top 20 as we wrap things up here at Chicagoland. The inaugural Tropicana 400 in the books. By all accounts, a smashing success. Sellout crowd, wonderful facility. Going to be a great place to come back to year after year. Don't forget, NASCAR continues next weekend on TNT. First Saturday at 8 Eastern Time, the NASCAR Busch Series from St. Louis in the CarQuest Auto Parts 250. And then Sunday at 1:30 Eastern, the New England 300 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Tonight on NBC, the hit new game show Fear Factor, followed by the movie Legends of the Fall, starring Brad Pitt. For Benny Parsons, Wally Dallenbach, Bill Weber, Matt Yoakum, Marty Snyder, and Dave Burns, I'm Alan Bestwick. Kevin Harvick has won the inaugural Tropicana 400. You've been watching NASCAR on NBC.